Gabrielle and Angela Alfredson are suing their stable landlord, Glenn Garatiano, for rental fees after being forced to move their horses from his property.
Court come to order. All rise.
Have a seat, please. Hello, Kevin.
Good morning, Judge. Case number 3028, Alfredson versus Garatiano.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I'm going to speak to you. What's your first name?
Gabrielle.
Gabrielle, this is your mom, and you had horses.
We do, both of us.
How old are you?
21.
In what month and year did you start to board your horses with the defendant?
February 2023.
And where had they been prior to that?
Charlotte, North Carolina, where I lived before moving to Charleston.
And your mother?
And she still lives in Charlotte. She has plans to move to Charleston.
How many horses did you have?
I have one and my mom has one.
But you took both of them with you.
Yes.
Tell me why.
They've been together for over 6 years. This is something we do together, me and my mom, and since she had plans to move, we didn't want to stress them and separate them, so we wanted to keep them together.
Okay. When you moved with the horses, you were the person who found the property?
Correct.
And did you meet with the defendant?
Yes, I did.
Did you ultimately sign a lease with him?
Ultimately, yes.
When? Month and year?
It was beginning of February 2023, I believe. I have the lease. I'm not.
I'd like to take a look at the lease.
It is on my phone through emails
I
that.
want to look at the lease.
I have it, ma'am.
Oh.
Would you like
see
a
it.
copy?
Yes.
These are copies of all the documents I'll be speaking about today.
I don't want to see all the documents. I want to see the lease.
Coming up, Exhibit B.
Thank you. Okay, your lawsuit today seeks recoupment of certain monies that you paid pursuant to this lease. The defendant has a cross-complaint for damages that your horses did to his property, which is also included in the lease as your responsibility. So the lease started February the 12th. When did you move your horses there?
The night of the 11th.
And where did you put them?
In the pastures on Glenn's property.
Was he there?
He was. He came out and told us we can,
So you were there with your mother?
Yes. It was me, my mother, and my father.
And there were no incidents. Did he explain to you what had to be done? You have to water them from a certain trough. Mm-hmm. Did he explain all that to you?
Yep. He said he has no knowledge of how to maintain and care for horses. That was all on us. As long as we pay our rent and take care of everything, that will be that.
Okay. So that's February. How much money did you pay him in February?
$925.
For the two horses?
Correct.
Were the horses there in March?
I think was when we moved in beginning of March, or middle of March.
Do you remember the date?
Yes, ma'am.
What was the date?
The 13th is when they actually came with the two deputies to take their possessions.
So they were there for a month?
5 weeks. She was supposed to come in mid-January, but postponed.
Just a second. The lease says it starts February the 12th?
Correct.
That's what the lease says. They left March 13th?
Correct.
Okay. And you paid the defendant how much?
3 payments of $925.
Okay, February we have $925.
Correct.
And you are several days over into the second month. Did you pay the second month?
We did initially.
You made 3 payments. I'd like you to explain to me the third payment.
We had to pay the first month of board, which was the $925, then the $925 for a deposit.
Okay, so a $925 was a security deposit.
Correct. And then an initial $925 for the first month of February.
Okay, so $925 was a security. Is that correct?
It is correct.
Okay.
It was not paid at the proper time. Neither was the first lease payment.
$925 was security deposit.
Yes.
2 months board.
Correct.
Now, it didn't work out.
Oh, it's way more than didn't work out.
I don't care. Actually, the idea is to keep it simple. It didn't work out. You were happy to see them go?
I initiated termination in the lease pursuant to the
and
lease.
they were happy to go?
Apparently, yes.
So now it's a matter of money. That's all it's about. I mean, you're not married to each other. You don't share grandchildren together. So it's a matter of why they don't get their security deposit back. Do you understand? You stayed over the second month, so you had to pay the second month, but $925 is security deposit. And there's no reason, unless there was some sort of violation of the lease, why you're not entitled to the $925 back, which is your security.
There was also criminal animal abuse during the 5 weeks that they were there.
Just to say, what does that have to do with this lawsuit?
It has to do with why their lease was terminated.
I don't care.
Okay, that's fine.
They want their money back. They don't want the pasture back. And I understand from your papers you believe that they weren't adequately caring for the animals, and because they weren't caring for the animals ate up your pasture. I don't know. You're going to show me what you're alleging in order to avoid returning their 925 security deposit.
That's part of it.
Ball's in your court.
Okay.
Security deposit. 925 security deposit, to which they would otherwise be entitled to unless you have proof to me that their horses damage your property.
So you want to go directly to the damages?
I want to go directly to the damages.
Okay,
I heard. This is my life. It's fleeting by so fast.
Someone please give this to the judge.
I just want you to show me what the damages were.
Okay. I guess I'm not going to refer to my notes. I'll just do it on the fly. Okay. The very first
Shh.
Oh, don't explain?
No,
I'm sorry.
I don't want you to explain anything. They're pictures. Oh, there's something in the packet that you just gave me. Would you please show this to Gabrielle and ask her if that's her signature?
Your Honor, may I speak?
Shh. No.
That means no.
That's a no.
Okay.
Is that your signature is my question.
Yes.
Okay. When did you sign that?
The day we left.
The day you left.
Correct.
Okay, and this shall serve as your receipt for the month's rent of $925 and the deposit $925. It will also serve as a receipt for your final month's payment of March 2023. We have agreed that the deposit is forfeited to cover some of the damage done by the horses, right? And you signed that.
Correct.
Well, then you have no case. What do you want?
I want to tell you my side, please.
You want to tell me about what?
This
Your Honor.
whole incident.
I don't care about the whole incident.
Your Honor.
Okay.
Just a second. You don't understand. This is a contract. She signed a lease as a contract. She's 21 years old. In order to leave, you left. You were both happy to be done with each other. Your daughter, who is the lessee, signed this agreeing for the 2 months' rent and to forfeit the $925 deposit. And there's an acknowledgement that the horses did damage to the property. That's it. So you have no case.
Does it say acknowledgement?
What?
Does it say that, acknowledgement, or if there was damage to the property?
No, it says we have agreed that the deposit is forfeit to cover some of the damage done by the horses. Now, you're really being so annoying to me. I'm just about.
I'm
just a second.
preparing my next piece of paper, that's all.
Just a second. Don't prepare anything. So far, you're not losing. The only thing you're losing is my patience. You said I have 43.
And Angela Alfredson claimed their stable landlord, Glenn Garatiano, is wrongfully keeping their rental fees and deposit. Glenn is countersuing for property damage caused by their horses.
Okay. We have agreed that the deposit is forfeit to cover some of the damage done by the horses. Now, if I were you, one word I would have absolutely eliminated is some of the damage, because that says to you, bing! It's not to liquidate the damages done by the horses. It says to cover some of the damage done by the horses, which is his counterclaim. So the fact that this didn't work out and you were unhappy is absolutely irrelevant to a lawsuit. Do you understand? Irrelevant. Now, did you and your tenant have any discussion about what damage you allege that the horses did?
Yes.
Was that the day that she left?
No, ma'am, it was prior to that, numerous occasions. Can you imagine I have something important? Just please, sir, ma'am, I have something important to show you.
Sure. Give
Can I
it
please have
to
just a
Kevin
little
and answer
latitude?
give it to Kevin and answer my question.
I shall.
Great. Do you have anything in writing, emails, etc., to demonstrate to me, other than verbal conversations, that the tenant was made aware of damages that the horses would?
The 43 pieces of evidence
I would like,
present
just a second.
does have that evidence that
just
you're
a
asking
second.
for.
Everything that you're going to hand me in that 43 pages, I just want to let you know, because when I go through 43 pages, if all of it is not relevant to the damage and the amount of damage that the horses did, that's not going to put me in a good mood. So make sure you're sending me all that stuff. Hold on a second.
This is important prior
Hold
to
on.
even looking at that receipt. If you'd please refer to the last page of the summons and complaint.
What are you showing me?
What I'm showing you, ma'am, is that the summons and complaint was filed by the father.
I don't care.
No, ma'am. This is filing an illegal court document. I don't know why you don't care.
I don't care, because I wish I could care. For your sake, I want to care. But for the purposes of this case, I don't care. All I want to see from you is the damage that you are alleging that was done to your property in excess of $925, which you kept as security deposit. That's all I want to see. I don't want you to tell me that her underwear doesn't match, that the wrong person filed the summons and complaint. I'm not interested. Very simple. Do you understand? Do you understand what I said to the plaintiff, sir? Did you understand that? Don't hand me all that stuff.
I'm not. I'm saying it's in folder 4 right in front of you. Those are the damages. The damage to the grass in front of all of the
No, that's not what I asked you for. If you follow instructions, I said to you, I want to see in writing, which you said you had, notification to your tenant prior to March 13th that damage was being caused to the property. And you said numerous. I said, show me. You said, I have 43 pages. I said, I'm not reading 43 pages unless it's all relevant. And if I read 43 pages and if it's not all relevant, it's going to put me in a bad mood, which I'm getting to.
Quickly, I see that.
Yes, because this is a lawsuit. It's not a kvetching contest.
It's not about fetching.
Do you understand? I didn't let her kvetch. I said, this is a lawsuit. You want your money back? You signed the document that says you're not getting your money back. That's what you signed.
The damage estimates are in the back of that folder.
And I told you, I'm not asking you for estimates.
Okay. You're asking me for communication between me and them. It was mostly verbal.
So then the answer is you don't have anything in writing.
There may be text messages. I didn't review them.
Oh, okay.
But
so
there were text messages regarding
yeah,
her trough that was leaking, and she just ignored the text. She ignored text often.
I actually don't care.
I have pictures of the damage to the stables in there.
Yeah, $925. You got it. It's covered. You counterclaims dismissed. We're done. This case is over.
This court is adjourned.
The man was very harassing to me the whole time. I didn't get to show any of my text messages.
She was a week late with the rent. She signed the lease, brought the horses, and then, oh, I forgot the rent.
Into the second week we were there, I told my daughter, something's wrong with this man. We got to get the horses out.
A week later, she comes back with the rent, and I'm like, where's the deposit? She goes, oh, I didn't have the deposit. I'll get you that in a week.
He wanted me off the property. He said, I want no trespassing ordinance on you. I said, can I not feed my horses? No, get off the property.
These people were bananas, and they were damaging horses.
Good example out there of we here in court hear legal arguments, not emotional arguments. It can be, a therapeutic experience for the litigants to be able to get their story across or share the underpinnings of the story, or what really went on is something that we hear a lot in court. But it doesn't matter how many color-coded files you have if they don't contain evidence that are pertinent to the legal argument, not the emotional argument. We don't want to see them. We don't want them.
Especially in this case.
It was cut and dry.
In this case, there were contracts.
Yeah, signed.
There were two
no
contracts,
argument.
a lease and a termination of that lease with the terms.
Yep.
And there was only one word, Sarah, and that word was some.
And that allowed him to even bring the countersuit in the first place.
But it was sort of slick, the word some. If you're going to forfeit your $925 deposit, and what he's primarily complaining about was that the horses ate all his grass in his meadow. Right, for $925, you can buy an awful lot of grass seed.
Sure.
They're not about to build him a whole new piece of property. Didn't work out. There was a contract. Sort of interesting. Yeah.
Is suing her ex-brother-in-law, Dwight Francis, for assault and a false arrest.
Court come to order. All rise.
Have a seat, please.
Hello, Judge. Case 3030, Gaines versus Francis.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Miss Gaines, who is this?
My witness, my twin sister, Lucinda Gaines.
And your sister is married, but in the process of divorcing the defendant.
Actually, they're already divorced.
When were you divorced?
August 18th, 2022.
Okay. The events surrounding this case happened in November of 2020.
Yes.
Each one of you claimed that they were assaulted by the other. In November of 2020, your sister and the defendant were having trouble in their marriage. That be a fair statement?
Yes.
And your sister had complained previously to you that the defendant was trying to get her in trouble, alleging that she assaulted him.
Absolutely.
So on November the 8th, you receive a call from your sister
No, we was already on the phone, Your Honor.
So you were on the phone with your sister.
Yes.
And I want you to relay the conversation that you had with your sister on that date.
Well, we were just sitting there chatting like we always do. We were just laughing, talking about her schoolwork. I was talking about my schoolwork. We both had tests coming up, so we were just relating to each other in that manner that we always do every day.
Okay, let's go. Move it along.
Anyway, all of a sudden, I heard, after an hour of talking to her on the phone, I overheard him say, "Let's fight. Let's do this without the cops." And I was like,
You heard him say, let's fight.
"Let's do this without the cops. We could fight right now. We could
Just a
fight
second.
right."
I want to be very clear because Whitney is taking, let's do this without
The police.
the police. That you remember.
That I remember.
Don't speak. Let's do this without the police. And what's the next thing you heard him say?
They just started arguing, so
Just a second. Would you go back, Whitney, please, and tell me what the plaintiff said? She said that he said two things.
Yes, let's fight. Let's do this without the cops.
Let's fight.
saying that to my sister.
Shh. Let's fight. Let's do this without the cops. Which one was it? You said, let's do this without the police. That's one. Or let's fight. Let's do this without the cops. Which one did
I
you hear?
overheard him say both things to my sister, and I just hung up after
What
that.
both things?
He said, I didn't have no idea he was there. I said, "Cinda, who's that?" She said, "Dwight." I said, why, what's going on? And then I just hung. She was
What's
like, "Oh,
going on?"
Yeah, and I just hung up. I said, "Okay, I'm just gonna hang up."
Why?
Because they was husband and wife. Maybe it was just something they was just going through. I didn't know.
Now, just a second. Let me explain something to you. I'm beginning to suspect what you're telling me is a whole lot of who shot John. You're on the phone with your sister. You're talking about tests like you're talking about every day, blah, 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 blah. Then you hear something that would cause me concern. You hear, let's fight. Let's do this
Without the
police. And according to you, what you said to me was, so I just hung up.
I said, "Cinda, I'm gonna hang up and I'm gonna call you back." She was like, "Oh, I'm gonna handle this."
Just a second. Don't speak.
Yes.
Let's go through it again because now we're getting a different story. Let's do this. Let's do this without the cops. And then what did you say to her and what did she say to you?
I asked her, "Who was that in the
You
background?"
said, who was that in the background?
And she said, "Dwight." I said,
What?
"Oh, I thought he didn't be there anymore."
Okay.
And so she was like, "Oh, I'm gonna handle it. I'm gonna just call you back." So I said, "Okay."
Okay. She said, oh, I'm going to handle it. I'll call you back. So you didn't just hang up. Just a second. You didn't just hang up.
No, I didn't.
You had a
I
continued
didn't really want to
conversation.
hang up, but I hung up because she
You
told me.
didn't just hang up. You had a conversation with your sister, and your sister said, I'm going to handle it. That's what you said she said to you.
Absolutely. After 20 minutes, I called. So I felt like they got into a fight. Why I felt that way, because
I don't care why
he had her
just a
arrested.
second. Just a second. I don't care why you felt that way.
Yeah.
I don't
scared
care
for
what you
her
felt that
because
way.
he got her arrested on October 27th, 2020 for assault. I had no idea. I was calling her.
So we had her arrested in October for domestic violence.
Yes, 2020.
And then so a month before, he had her arrested for domestic violence. What happened to that case? Do you know, Miss Gaines? Do you know? The answer is yes or no.
No.
But you know he had her arrested. Okay, so now we're in November. Your sister has clearly allowed him back into the house, right? She didn't say, it's Dwight, he doesn't belong here, I'm going to call the police, because according to you, she's having a pleasant conversation with you. And he's talking, who is that Dwight? Oh, he's here. So you went to your sister's house.
Mm-hmm.
You didn't call the police because you were worried. You went over to your sister's house. Now I want you to tell me exactly what happened. Be careful, because you know, I've been doing this for 50 years. Do you understand?
Yes.
What you're about to tell me, I've heard 100 times, all different kinds of versions, but certain things make sense and certain things don't. Do you understand? So
Well,
now I'm going to...
I thought the police would be there by the time I got there because my sister
I don't care
told
what
me.
you thought. She told you what?
She told me she was going to go to jail and I just wanted
Just a
to
minute.
get
We're
her
getting a lot
son.
more into this conversation
Yes.
now. Hold on. First we started with I hung up. And then you said, my sister says to me, when did
When I called back, she said...
Just a second. So you called back and you got her on the phone.
I said,
okay.
Her ex-brother-in-law, Dwight Francis, assaulted her and lied to the police. Dwight is countersuing, claiming he defended himself from Lucretia's attack.
So you waited 20 minutes and you called her back.
Yes.
And you did, in fact, get her on the phone.
Yes, and that's...
Just a second. Now, I want you to go back to what she told me 4 minutes ago with I called.
I did.
And she didn't answer.
She did not answer.
After 20 minutes, I stay home. After 20 minutes, I called. I felt they got into a fight. Why I felt that way? Because he had her arrested. I was just scared for her.
You called and called. So now you called.
Halfway there, she answered the phone.
You called and she answered.
Yes.
Now I want you to tell me about that conversation before you went over there. I said to her, and she said to me, let's go.
I'm going to jail. She said, well, I'm going to jail now because he called the cops. And then I said, oh, okay, well, because I just felt like she was going to go to jail because she got arrested.
I don't care what you felt.
Anyway, I was only going to get my nephew.
You called her and she said, I'm going to go to jail.
You say he called the cops, so I think
he called the cops. Because he had a restraining order against her.
Protective order.
Right. And clearly something happened in that 20 minutes between the time you were talking about your tests and the time you got her back on the phone that suggested to you that something had transpired when she said, now I'm going to go to jail. So you went over there because you knew about the protective order because you knew she had gotten arrested in October. So now you go over there to do what?
To grab my nephew, because last time I went, when she couldn't go back to her home that he moved in with her, he didn't even feed my nephew. And that's what I was afraid of.
Just a second. Is that their child?
No.
You went over there to get your nephew.
Yeah.
Now, what happened when you got there?
When I got
slowly, because right now you see, it doesn't go well.
I know.
You understand?
Understood.
Okay. So now you go over there.
When I got to their home, the defendant was standing outside. I finally pulled up. I saw no cops. So I asked him, why you keep calling the cops on my sister? That's when he took it upon himself to hit me in my face, knock me off the curb, because I guess it needed to fit his narrative. Come to find out, he called the cops and told the cops that my sister called me over there to fight him. Why would I fight for my sister? I shouldn't have went over there, but I did because I was worried about my nephew. She told me to. She asked me to get him the last time. She was like, can you go to the house and grab my nephew?
You left that out 5 minutes ago.
Sorry, because it was so much. And it'd been so long ago.
Well, that's why you're supposed to bring a case as soon as you can after the event. The reason I assume you didn't is because COVID struck and they didn't dismiss both of your cases until recently. Yeah. So neither one of you could have come to civil court. I assume that that's why you waited 2 years. I really don't care. Now, that's what you say happened, that you came over there and got out of the car and calmly said to him, why do you keep calling the cops on my sister?
Yes.
That's what you remember you said to him?
Yes.
Calmly. Why do you...
Calmly, really agitated, because I was home doing my own thing, you know, and it was
Well, I want you to tell me what happened. You got out of the car. Clearly, you're bigger than he is.
Exactly.
Clearly, you're bigger than he is. So is your sister. You got out of the car, and now you're agitated. So you didn't just ask him. You said, why do you keep calling the cops on my sister? And he punched you.
Yes.
Okay. Now,
and knocked me off the curb. I was stuck under the car where he proceeded to keep pounding on me in my head. And I almost lost consciousness, which I did lose consciousness. My hands was all cut up. I have proof from trying to cover the blows, but I had nowhere to move because of...
Just a second. What part of your hand was all cut up?
Both of my hands, because I was trying to hold it, because I was on the concrete.
Just a second. Your knuckles on both hands were cut up.
Mm-hmm.
That's not a defensive wound.
Those are.
No, that's not. No, dear. That's not a defensive wound. This is a defensive wound. This is from hitting somebody.
But I'm trying to grab my hoodie down so he could stop punching me in my face. So that's what was happening because I was trying to.
I still don't understand why you got.
I don't know how.
I don't know. I don't know either. I don't know either. You're going to show me. I'm going to look at all your proof. I'm just examining you first since there are cross complaints here. You're trying to speak over me.
Sorry.
Clearly, you're not intimidated by your surroundings. That's her version of the events. She came over to the house and she asked you why you keep calling the cops on my sister. And you punched her and kept punching her until she almost lost consciousness. Now, you want to tell me your version of these events?
Okay.
How long, by the way, had you been in the apartment with her sister?
6 or 7 years.
No. You had her arrested in October. So clearly she was arrested and she was out of the house. Is it your house or her house?
Her house. She wasn't out the house.
So she was arrested and you were both still living in the house together?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. Since October?
Yes, Your Honor.
So you were there and she was there?
Same way, Your Honor.
Same way?
Yes.
She was released by the police and you were there, she was there, and her son?
Yes, Your Honor.
Is that correct?
Yes, it's a partial.
Don't speak.
Okay.
So when you said, what's Dwight doing there, you clearly didn't know that they were still living together.
No.
Good. So now you tell me your version of the events of November 8th, 2020. Tell me what happened with...
Lucinda was keep coming at me.
How did she keep coming at you?
Like coming up in my face, like she wanted to fight with me. And I never want to fight at all.
That is not true.
If you say one more word, I'm going to throw you out. Do you understand?
That wasn't me. That was her.
Oh, you're easy. You're going to be gone. Did you call the police?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. Did you call the police before Miss Gaines got there?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. So now you called the police, and clearly she heard it.
Yes, Your Honor.
And she said to you, I'm going to get arrested. That's what you said.
Because it was a...
Did you say something? There is no indication.
Lucretia Gaines has accused her ex-brother-in-law, Dwight Francis, of assaulting her and lying to the police. Dwight is countersuing Lucretia, claiming she assaulted him.
So you called the police and you went outside.
I went outside first before I called the police.
You went outside and called the police from outside?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, go ahead.
When I called the police, I stepped down to the sidewalk and I was there waiting for the police to come. I heard a car speed come around, hear her yelling, I hope you're not calling the cops. I say, of course I'm calling the cops. She pulled over to the side and come up towards me, ready to fight with me. I never want to fight. I turned my head around. She was already there in front of me, sizing me up, and I just make a mistake and look around. And by the time I made that mistake and look around, she knocked me over.
And?
I saw her about to hit me again. When I hit her, she fall, and I ran off, try to escape. She get back up and running me down. I couldn't run no more because I was going towards the hospital direction where I was going. When she caught up with me, the cops turned up.
Okay. May I see the police report, please?
I have one.
Well, it's practically impossible to determine which one of you instigated the physical part of this altercation. Each of you claimed that the other threw the first blow. Listen carefully to what I'm saying. That's what she says, and you said that she hit you first. So it's impossible to determine who hit who first. However, the police report is very telling. It says that when the police arrived, they found you on Kensington Street. And you told the police, you're Lucretia,
yes,
said Francis, that would be him, began to walk down Kensington Street. So the fight had begun, and he got up and started to walk away towards Chapel Street, which is consistent with what he said. And Lucretia said she ran after Francis and began fighting with him until the police arrived. That's what the police report says.
I can show you. I couldn't even run. I had torn meniscus.
Just a second.
There's no way.
I'm telling you what the police wrote in their report that you told them, and it's totally consistent with what he said, that he was trying to walk away.
I was running.
After he beat me up.
Listen to me. You went over there furious.
I wasn't furious.
Oh, yeah.
Some...
Just a second. You went over there furious.
Absolutely not.
Your Honor,
Absolutely not.
Can I tell my story, please?
Can you tell your story?
Yes, please.
Oh, be my pleasure. I got a couple of questions to ask you as long as you want to testify. Okay. There is no indication here from you to the police or any other authority that he ever put his hands on you. What you complain about him is that he's disrespectful, he taunts you, he says nasty things to you, he calls you names.
Yes.
In response to that, you assault him.
No, I don't, ma'am.
Oh.
Yes, sir.
He had me falsely arrested. Yes, he's small in stature, but I don't know how he keep manipulating the system. This man is dangerous.
You have to understand something. You told the police that he doesn't...
We never had a physical altercation. That's why I don't know where he's getting these things from. It's like once he found out we were going to divorce, he didn't want to leave the house. So that's why he kept having to try to put a case on me.
All may be true.
Yes.
There is no indication here, as a matter of fact, quite the contrary, that he ever put his hands on you.
He never put his hands on me, and I never placed a hand on him.
Your sister did. Now you can sit down.
Go.
Can I just tell you how we even got here?
No.
All I want to say.
No, I'm just telling you. I don't care how you got here. This happened 2.5, 3 years ago, and the reason that you're here is because of an incident that had, in its beginnings, you going to a place where you had no right to be.
Can I please show you the medical reports? Because there's no way I ran down the street.
Just a second. I'm going to read what you told the police.
That was...
After a brief verbal altercation, Francis punched her in the face. They both began fighting in the middle of the street. Francis then began to walk down Kensington Street towards Chapel Street. Lucretia said she ran after Francis and began fighting with him until the police arrived. Okay, your case is dismissed.
All right.
Now, you have any medical records of your injuries?
Yes,
I'd
Your
like
Honor.
to see them.
I have scar to you.
Just a second, I'd like to see them.
I'm telling you, I did not run after him. How can I run? How can I run after him if my knee, I tore meniscus?
Okay. Do you want me to play the tape of you walking through the door into the courtroom? Yes, you did.
I could walk, yeah, but I'm still
right,
in
you
pain
did.
for the rest of
I
my
can
life.
play the tape back
I
for you if you like.
surgery, Your Honor.
Not only is the case going to be dismissed, but because I see you can't control yourself. Even in a courtroom, you can't control yourself. I'm hearing his case now. He's got a cross complaint. And as far as I'm concerned, you were the aggressor. You went there
I did.
to a potentially aggressive situation by yourself. By yourself.
She have something in her hand too. I never see what it was, but I know she threw it away.
Do you think I need your help?
Okay.
Forget it. Telling you, this man is dangerous. You will see he'll be arrested again.
See what I mean? You can't control yourself. You want me to believe that you got out of the car and calmly said, "Why are you calling the police on my sister?" Somebody who can't control themselves in a courtroom. Judgment for the defendant on the counterclaim in the amount of $5,000. Your claim is dismissed.
All right, thanks.
Court is adjourned.
I'm just sad about the whole situation because I felt like I should have won this case.
Everything is in facts, and that's how it happened. It was the truth.
I just figured she was going to jail, so I just wanted to get my nephew and leave.
I want to be a good parent.
It goes on. He's manipulating the system, and it shows.
That whole case just seemed like a mess all the way around. I think the plaintiff went there maybe a little hotter than she was ready to admit. I think the police report seemed enlightening after you took a look at that and read her own account of what she told the officer. And, you know, he didn't seem like Prince Charming either, though. So I'm annoyed that you gave him the judgment. I agree with it because it was so unclear.
I gave him the judgment, actually.
Because she couldn't control herself. I knew.
Because you're in a courtroom setting, and you try to take somebody's demeanor in a courtroom setting, which is intimidating. I mean, I'm intimidating. I know that I'm intimidating. Couldn't control herself.
Yeah.
You know, you have to couple the law with common sense. He's no doll, for sure. But he extricated himself from the house because according to her,
And then down the street.
he was outside when she got there. The police report was clear. He again tried to extricate himself by walking away. And when the police arrived, they were fighting on the street. Again, because she had caught up with him. She said she went there to get her nephew. You can call the police and say, I think there's going to be a problem. Would you take me over there? There's a domestic case. But she went over there hot. And the reason he was awarded money is because she couldn't control herself, even here. There was no question in my mind that she was the aggressor.
No, I agree.
Arrest, abuse, and emotional distress.
Court come to order. All rise.
Have a seat, please.
Hello, Judge. Case number 3090, Clarence versus Williams.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Mr. Clarence, from what I've read, you and Miss Williams have known each other since middle school?
Yes, ma'am. Since middle school, we've known each other.
The papers suggest that sometime later, the two of you developed a romantic relationship and you started to live together in 2015.
Yes, ma'am. November 16, 2015.
And you have 2 children together.
Yes, ma'am, we do.
It appears that there was an incident in your home and you were arrested.
Yes, ma'am.
You were arrested for an assault. Was there a weapon that you were arrested for?
No, ma'am, there was no weapon I was arrested for.
It was just an assault?
Yes, ma'am, assault on family member.
Okay. So, Miss Williams, I'm going to start with you.
Okay.
Because Mr. Clarence ultimately was acquitted of all of those charges.
Yes.
And that was after a trial.
Yes.
Mr. Williams says that as a result of your allegations, not only did he suffer damages himself, but he wasn't able to see the 2 children for a while because you had requested a restraining order, which was then granted, but later vacated.
It was a protective order, and yes,
And it covered the children?
Correct.
Just for my own information, how long, Ms. Williams, did the protective order last so that Mr. Clarence couldn't see the children?
It was for 3 years, but he was able to see the children through visitation.
But how long was it that he did not see the children because of the protective order? Because that's part of his lawsuit.
Okay, so it was...
Mr. Clarence, how long in actuality was it that as a result of the restraining order, you could not see the children?
2 years.
2 years? That you didn't see them at all?
At all.
It was 2 years.
Okay. So you were living in a home together.
Yes, ma'am.
On Valentine's Day, there was an argument.
Correct.
You called the police.
Correct.
The police responded and told you to leave the house for a while.
Yes.
And you did leave the house.
I did leave with my daughter.
But you have 2 children.
2 children because they told us that we had to split children, or one stays with the other parent, the other one comes with me.
Okay, so you have 2 kids, a girl who's how old?
She was 2 at the time.
And a boy?
He was 4 at the time.
So the boy stayed with his father. And you left with your daughter overnight.
Right.
Did you come back?
The next morning, yes.
She actually came back that same time at 2 a.m.
Well, the next morning, that's 2 a.m. Don't interrupt again.
I'm sorry.
Okay. So you came back early in the morning.
Yes.
And what happened when you came back?
I stayed in my vehicle with my daughter because I didn't want to go into the apartment. And then...
Eventually, you went into the apartment?
Yes.
What time did you go into the apartment?
Which was 7 o'clock in the morning.
And that was on the 15th of February?
Correct.
Who was home when you got home on the 15th of February?
It was Devon and our son.
Was there any problem on the 15th?
The 15th was when me and him had got into it as far as not verbal altercation. He didn't like what I had said to him, and we just started going off, and he came to a point where he just got mad and said, well, you know, why would you say anything like that? You know, I don't care about you. And then we started getting into another argument. Then that's when he had brought out a knife and put it on the kitchen counter and said, if you want to kill yourself, go ahead. I don't care.
Okay, just a second. That was the 15th.
Yes.
Miss Williams, you know, most couples have arguments. So something had to have precipitated his statement because according to what you just told me, Mr. Clarence didn't take out a knife, according to what you said, and threaten you with it. He said to you, according to you, if you want to kill yourself, here's a mechanism to use it. What had you said to him immediately prior to that that inspired that? He told you he didn't love you anymore, he didn't want to be with you anymore. And
that's when he said he didn't care.
He didn't care. And you said,
and so that's when he had took out the
he
knife.
said he didn't. No, you had to say something to him that says, well, if that's the way you feel, you go kill yourself. But you had to have said something to him before.
Right. It was the argument started with the kids, but then when he said that, I didn't want you here anyway, it is just, the relationship is pretty much dead, so there's no reason to stay. And if you want to leave, you can leave.
Is that what he said to you, or is that what you said to him?
him?
Oh, you said to him. Okay. And then?
And then that's when he said, well, I don't love you no more. I don't care for you.
You said that. And then what happened?
And then afterwards, that's when he had went in the kitchen, because I barely remember what happened after that. Because all I know is that when he had went into the kitchen, that's when he came back and said,
okay,
you can kill yourself.
Do you recall taking a knife and putting it either on a counter or on a tabletop and saying, if you want to kill yourself?
No, ma'am, I don't recall that.
Okay. But at that point, the police were not called. This was the day after the police had been called. This is February 15th. And Mr. Clarence left the house.
Right.
Right. He left on the 15th. Did he come back?
A week after.
So he was gone for 1 week.
Mm-hmm.
That brings us to the 20th. Did you communicate with him during that week?
Yes.
By phone?
Yes, text message.
Do you have copies of the text message?
I do not.
Do you have copies? I'd like to see the messages that were
this is the first
traded
on February.
in that week's period of time. He's standing there and you're pushing him.
Yes, push.
Devon Clarence claims his ex-fiancée, Safari Williams, owes for a false arrest, abuse, and emotional distress. Safari is countersuing for assault and defamation.
Okay, so this is February the 19th.
Mm-hmm. And I also do have my text messages pulled up here on my phone. I don't get a hard copy.
Okay, good. Tell me if this is what it says. You say to him, I need my keys ASAP, please. That's a week after he left.
Correct.
What keys had he taken from you?
He had taken my house key and my mother's home key. It was on my keychain.
Okay. How did you get into the house for a week?
I never left because he had it.
You mean for a week you weren't out of the house at all?
At all. I had my kids. I lost my job, so I was at home. I had no reason to leave, really.
Just a second. When did you lose your job?
I lost my job a week prior because of the money he had taken out of the account that I was going to pay for to insure my job, because I had little legal issues with my job.
Well, tell me about that. That's not in here.
Yeah.
As far as...
losing your job had nothing to do with him.
No, it had everything. Because the reason being is the fact that I didn't have the money, because I was a delivery driver. So I had to pay off a certain citation that I was cited for.
What citation that you were cited for?
It was speeding.
Okay,
citation.
So you got a speeding ticket, which you had to pay. He didn't force you to speed. You did that yourself.
Right. However, I had to...
And you can't be a driver if they're going to take away your license.
That was the thing. So I had needed the money. He had taken that money out of there and used it to pay somebody else.
I don't know what you're talking about. Taking it out of where? A joint account?
Out of a joint account, yes, ma'am.
Okay. The reason you lost your job had nothing to do with him. The reason you lost your job is because you drove in a way that you got a speeding ticket. Now let's get back to the 20th. So you needed your house keys and your mother's house keys, which he had taken with him.
Yes.
Did you take the house keys?
No, ma'am. The keys that were inside the house were to her mother's house, but her mother had changed the locks previously before. So really, they were just throwaway keys, and the keys were just sitting inside of my glove box for months.
But you went by and you returned the keys?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
He had taken those keys. He had taken those keys prior, because he's always taking things of my possession.
Okay.
That's not true.
So
you asked him for your keys back, which means that during that interim period, the only text messages I see here, you asked him to come back to the house and bring you your keys. And I assume, since there is no history, that your mother's never had a history with him.
Oh, yeah.
a violent history?
It's not a violent, but more so, she had her issues. They both had
I don't
the
care whether they
issues.
had their issues. So if you needed your keys back, he could have dropped them off at your mother's. He didn't have to bring them to you.
But she didn't allow him on the premises, that's why.
Well, why would you have invited him back on the 20th if you had such a miserable experience on Valentine's Day?
I didn't expect for him to sit there and...
There was an alternative, but he came back on the 20th with the keys. Now, I want you to tell me on the 20th, because this is your counterclaim, you actually claim that he assaulted you. So I want you to tell me what happened on the 20th.
The 20th, I had asked him for my keys back.
Yes, and he came over.
He came home from work. He had dropped off the key, came in, said hi to the kids, tucked them in bed. I was in a room, but that day I wasn't feeling good. So I had to just, excuse myself to go to the bathroom. So I come back out, I see my phone being tossed on the bed by him as he was sitting there reading messages or whatever. So I didn't say anything about it. He just said, okay, I'm about to go. I said, okay, cool. And he kissed the kids and walked out.
So he kissed the kids and he walked out. He walked into what room?
He walked from the back room, our room where we were sleeping at, me and the kids, and he walked to the front door, out the door. So what happened was...
No, look here.
Yes,
he's leaving.
He's leaving.
And?
In a few moments, he had called me, and he asked me, what time is your job interview for the next day? I told him 8:30, and I asked him why. He said, well, I'm moving out. I'm getting all my things out of the house while you're there. I said, okay, well, why? Because the front office is not going to just let you off the lease, Well,
you understand, he hadn't been there for a week.
For just a week, yeah. But I'm just asking because I don't know how we were going to go about it. So that's when he had told me, don't act like I ain't seen you, you ain't seen me reading your messages. I'm tired of you disrespecting me. I'm tired of you disobeying me. I'm tired of you, talking to these dudes or venting and blah, blah, blah. Like, just going at me as if I'm disrespecting him. At this point, you left. So therefore, if I'm talking to a friend, what's the problem? Why are you looking through my phone? And this is nothing that you paid for.
That's true, Snoopy.
Yeah, so you're snooping around. So at this point, he's mad because of what
but he's not in the house.
Yeah, he's not in the house. So afterwards, I say, if you want to leave, stay gone. I don't even care. He hung up in my face. I said, okay, I don't have time for this mess. So I go in the back room, get ready for bed. I put my phone on the charger, and I lay down, and he's knocking on the door really hard. Kids sleep. So I go to the front door, and that's when he opened the door, and he just, like, in my face, like, don't be disrespecting me, don't be doing that. And I'm just like, okay, bro, you need to get out of my face, first of all. And he just said, okay, well, you know what? Forget it, I'm leaving. I'm just gonna pack my stuff up and I'm leaving. The whole time he's like packing his things in the
Okay, so he's packing.
Correct. So when he packed his things, he was just, talking, and he went in the back room. And that's when I had followed him in the back room because he's known he was gonna take my things. And then that's when he had came out and said, good luck finding your phone charger. Where's my phone charger? Because it's not on the bed. Where's my phone charger, bro? So I blocked him so he could give me my things. And he said, I don't know. I don't know where your phone charger is. Devon, where's my phone charger? I don't know. Now move. And he did a shoulder thrust. So I'm like, okay, bro. I grabbed his lanyard. He had his work ID. I grabbed his lanyard from around his head.
So you put your hands on him. Just a second, you put your hands on him because the lanyard, that's what it says here.
No.
No, that's what it says in your papers. You acknowledge that.
Oh,
that
okay.
You grabbed his badge, but his badge was on a lanyard that was around his neck. So you put your hands on him.
So yeah, so it was more so to take his things so he could give me back my phone charger. I need it for my job interview.
So you never connected with him in anything that you did. So
Devon Clarence is accusing his ex-fiancée, Safari Williams, of a false arrest after she assaulted him. Safari claims Devon assaulted and defamed her.
So you grabbed his lanyard, which was around his neck.
It was around his neck, and I took his glasses off his face.
And then what happened?
And then that's when he had turned around, dropped all of his things, and he turned around and he started tussling and then try to get his things. So I said, no, give me my
just
phone
a second.
charger.
So far, what I'm hearing is there was lots of nasty stuff going on. He's packing his things, giving you the best possible scenario. He took your phone charger. You didn't see him take your phone charger, but it was on the bed, according to you, and then it wasn't on the bed anymore.
Correct.
Yes, ma'am.
Right. So in response to that, you put your hands on him twice. Once with a lanyard that had his badge on it.
Right.
And then you grabbed his glasses off his face.
But never hurt him. Never.
Just a second. You put your hands on him, not in a happy way. You put your hands on him in an aggressive way.
No.
Because, oh yes, if you grab somebody's glasses off their face, madam, and grab a lanyard from around their neck, that's aggressive. He may not have been hurt as a result of that, but you have to know, you're not allowed to put your hands on somebody else in anger.
It was not angry. I took him. I didn't touch him or hurt him. It was never aggressive. I just wanted my things back. And I didn't touch him or choke him or anything.
I got it. I'm just telling you what the law is. You put your hands on him in an aggressive way because you wanted your charger back,
okay,
which he had taken, but he had not taken off your person. If he took it, he had taken it from where you left it because he was annoyed that you were texting other guys, according to you, because he had been gone for a week. You can text whoever you like. Okay, so now you've taken his glasses off and you've taken his badge off, which was on a lanyard. What happened next?
After he turned around and he
started to tussle with you, which is what you said.
Things, and then afterwards we fell over the couch. And at this point, he had his forearm on my neck, so at this point, I can't breathe.
No, ma'am.
I told him, get off of me. Devon, you're hurting me. You're choking me. I cannot breathe. Please get off of me. Get off of me.
He's on you with his forearm on your neck.
Yes.
And
so at this point, he gets his things. He grabs his stuff.
Okay, so he's not choking you anymore. And
he gets up and he
look at me.
Put his glasses on. And then at this point, he's standing over me. I'm still on the floor. And I'm telling him to get off of me.
No, he's already off of you.
From me.
He's already off of you, Miss Williams. He's gotten his things. He put his glasses on, which means both hands were putting his glasses on. So he's not standing on top of you anymore.
But he's standing over me.
So he was standing. And?
I push him away. I said, get out, get out. I don't want you here. Get out. Please get out. So at this point, I'm shoving him away from me.
Okay, so again, he's standing there and you're pushing him.
Yes, pushing him off of me. And then that's when he did a close fist and hit me right here on the side of my face.
Okay.
So I passed out. I didn't know, I blacked out. And then after I had gotten up and I cried, I said, why did you hit me? Why would you hit me like this? Like, why? And then he just kept going back and forth.
Back and forth where?
From the front door to the back room to the front door.
Was he taking his things out?
I don't know what he was taking.
Okay, so he's going from the back door to the front door, but he had packed his things.
Right.
Okay.
So I get up, and that's when he turned around, and I can't, right now, I'm imbalanced. I can't even stand up right because he whacked me so hard. So at this point, he stood up and said, you want to fight me? Fight me.
That's not true.
And he put up his hands, so that's when I put up my hands. And then I went to hit him, and then that's when he had started throwing punches at me, like back to back to back to back. And I busted my lip, so...
Okay, so let me understand this. You both got up, and he said, you want to fight me? So you put up your hands, both of you put up your hands, and you went to punch him. That's what you just told me. Missed, I assume.
Missed.
And then he hit you.
Yes.
Okay, so again, you went to punch him.
And I missed. And that's when he...
Okay, fine. Now I got it. And then?
And then that's when he started hitting me.
Okay, so now you're fighting.
Yes.
Go ahead.
And I told him to stop as soon as I saw blood was everywhere, literally on the wall and the floor. And he stopped.
But let me ask you this question. From all this fighting and tussling, was Mr. Clarence visibly hurt anywhere?
No.
Did he have any mark whatsoever? No. So you never connected with him in anything that you did. So far, correct?
No, ma'am. I had scratches on my neck, and she did not put her hands up to fight me. She actually threw a car battery at my hands.
No, that is so untrue.
I have pictures of the car battery and it being broken, if you would like to see that.
Okay, I'm going to get to you in a second. Anyway, that's when he left. Did you go to work?
No, ma'am.
What did you do?
So I had to go sleep in my car because I didn't have my glasses.
Where were your glasses?
Inside the house.
So you left without your glasses?
Yes, ma'am.
He had his glasses on that night, the whole time.
Is that what your testimony said?
Shh.
I'm sorry.
I'm not there with you.
Okay. When did you call the police, Miss Williams?
I didn't. He took my phone.
Okay.
He had
well,
taken my phone.
somehow the police were contacted?
I don't know how they were contacted. I had to escape him.
When you escaped him on the 20th, did you take your children?
I took them, yes, I did.
Was he in the house?
He was inside and out of the house. So, Yana, can I add one more thing? So after all that happened, that's when he did leave. I had the opportunity to get his clothes. I put his car battery in the hamper that he was packing his stuff at, threw it outside of the apartment, and then I closed the door, locked it so he wouldn't get in. So at this point, I'm looking for the phone to call the emergency services. However, he goes up to the window and says, "Looking for this?" And it was my phone. So I had to find another device in the house to try to at least get a recording or to find something to say, you know, I have to verify this because I feel like nobody's gonna believe me even if I was, you know, if I made this up. So I had to record it off of my son's tablet. I have a video of the injuries of the night that it happened.
Well, you have hospital records because you say that you went to the hospital the next day.
Yes, ma'am, I did. I went to the hospital and they diagnosed me.
No. I want to see the hospital records.
Yes, ma'am.
One.
I'm scared. He is crazy. He is really, really crazy.
Would it be a fair statement that you did, in fact, punch her in the mouth?
She grabs me by my shirt, and she pulls me into the house and starts punching me.
Wow.
I was like, you know what? That's it. And I started going back at with her.
It was nasty. That's what happened. And that's outrageous.
This is Judy Justice. Previously on Judy Justice.
What happened next?
After he turned around and he
started to tussle with you, which is what you said.
And then afterwards, we fell over the couch. And at this point, he had his forearm on my neck, so I can't breathe.
No.
I told him, Devon, you're hurting me, you're choking me, I cannot breathe. Please get off of me, get off of me.
He's standing there and you're pushing him.
Yes, pushing him off of me. And then that's when he did a closed fist and hit me right here on the side of my face. So I passed out. And then after I had gotten up, he stood up and said, you want to fight me? Fight me.
Not true.
Now you're fighting.
Yes.
Go ahead.
And I told him to stop as soon as I saw blood was everywhere, literally on the wall and the floor. And he stopped.
But let me ask you this question. From all this fighting and tussling, was Mr. Clarence visibly hurt anywhere?
No.
So far, correct?
No, ma'am. I had scratches on my neck, and she did not put her hands up to fight me. She actually threw a car battery at my hands.
I had to find another device to try to at least get a recording. I had to verify this because I feel like nobody's gonna believe me even if I made this up. So I had to record it off my son's tablet. I have a video of the injuries of the night that it happened.
Well, you have hospital records because you say that you went to the hospital the next day. I want to see the hospital records.
And now, the conclusion. Devon Clarence is suing his ex-fiancée, Safari Williams, for a false arrest and an assault. Safari is countersuing Devon, claiming he assaulted her.
Okay, so you weren't admitted to the hospital. You were just seen by somebody the next day. What time the next day?
It was around 11, 10 o'clock. My mother had taken me to the hospital.
How did you get in touch with your mother?
After I left the house.
Well, how did you leave the house? Right now, he's locked out. You locked the door. And you're looking for something to record him. Mm-hmm. And you found something to record him.
Which was my son's tablet.
And
that's when I went into the living room. I brought my kids to the living room with me, and I had to wait it out because I didn't want to go out there like he was just going crazy, like monstrosity. But I was afraid to go out there. So that's when I had locked in. I locked myself in, waited until the morning. He cannot go 24 hours without going to sleep. So I said, I'm going to take my advantage, wait till he goes to sleep. And he went to sleep in his car. And I got my keys, and I grabbed my two kids, barefooted and all, no clothes. And he had set the alarm.
Just a second. So you grabbed your kids and took them out to your truck.
Yes.
And drove where?
I drove to my auntie's house.
At what time? This is on the 21st?
Yes, the 21st. It was around 7, 8 o'clock in the morning.
And you drove to your aunt's house, and what did you do?
I went into my aunties, and she called my mom. When she called my mom, that's when my mom had came over to her house and saw the injuries. And she said, we need to go to the hospital because we don't know how bad or how severe your injuries are. So that's when I was like, okay, I can go to the hospital. And she drove me there. I couldn't make a police report or assault report with the hospital because they were going
No. You can't tell me what happened at the hospital that you couldn't.
Right.
You went to the hospital,
and then
weren't admitted, you were seen by a doctor.
Go ahead. By the doctor. I wasn't, in fact, admitted.
If you were admitted to a hospital, I want to see those medical records.
Okay.
This isn't a medical record. This is a one-pager on a visit that you had where you complained about an assault, and the doctor did notice some abrasions on your face.
Okay.
Doesn't say you were admitted anywhere.
I'm sorry, I don't have that one on me.
Okay. So now let's move on. So you drove your kids about 10 miles to your aunt's house. You stayed at your aunt's house for a while. Your aunt called your mother. Your mother came and said, I think we should go to the hospital and check out your injuries. And
that's when
I want to know how the police got involved.
So the hospital called the police.
So you're saying it wasn't you, the hospital called the police, so the police came to the hospital?
The police came, but they wasn't able to. Like, I don't know how to explain it. It was one of a county issue with the
You want to tell me?
Yes. Yes, she'll be able to tell you better.
So, Judge, when we went to the hospital, so the hospital is between Harris County Sheriff Department and HPD. So when we...
Well, he was arrested somewhere. So he was arrested somewhere. On what date were you arrested?
I was arrested on February 24th, so 4 days after this incident.
Okay. I assume you asked your daughter what happened when you, either driving to the hospital or when you got to your sister's house.
Yes.
At the time you asked her what happened, did she tell you that they had been in a fight?
Well, I could see they had been in a fight.
Well,
but...
no, there's a difference between a fight, which is mutual combat.
Right.
And an assault, which suggests that there was only one victim and one perpetrator.
Yes.
So what I want to know is whether your daughter discussed with you the facts that she's just relayed to me.
Mm-hmm.
That's a question, not a ha-ha.
Right.
Did she tell you that they were fighting?
Yes, she did.
Did she tell you that she at any point put her hands on him?
No, and she didn't because her mouth was so bad. She
just
really
a second.
couldn't explain.
She did. She just told me.
Yes, but she didn't explain it to me that way.
I know, but she just explained it to me that way. I'm not putting a judicial imprimatur on anybody's assaultive conduct.
Right.
But you have to understand that in a fight, somebody ends up at the bottom of the barrel and somebody at the top of the barrel.
I agree.
Devon Clarence has accused his ex-fiancée, Safari Williams, of reporting a false arrest after she assaulted him. Safari claims Devon assaulted and defamed her. You did hear your daughter testify that at some point he got up and she went to throw a punch at him and missed.
Right.
And then he punched her and he continued to punch her. You did hear that?
Yes, I did.
Okay. Okay, now I'm going to see a video.
Just press play.
No, it's hitting me. I have no phone. He took my phone. He took everything, and I'm helpless. So I'm trying to get out of here, but I need proof. This is proof. He can go on me. I have blood everywhere. I have blood everywhere. Oh my God, I'm scared. I'm scared. He is crazy. He is really, really crazy.
Okay. Would it be a fair statement, Mr. Clarence, that you did, in fact, punch her in the mouth?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And I want you to tell me, because I see she's injured, her mouth is injured. I want you to tell me, in your own voice, what precipitated that, because that's a nasty hit in the mouth.
So when we flipped over the couch, I stood up, and she says that she pushed me off, but she actually reached her hands up and grabbed me by the testicles, and that's when I punched her. Right after punching her, she let go. I ran to the door. When I ran to the door, she followed behind me with a car battery. She picked it up and she tossed it in my direction, which caused for me to have an injury to my hand.
You have photographs of that?
Yes, ma'am, I did.
That's not true. There's the battery.
This was taken a couple days afterwards when the
By
swelling
whom?
went down.
By whom?
By me.
Is that the only injury that you sustained?
No, ma'am. I also from when she was choking me with my work lanyard. I also have pictures of my neck that was taken that next morning.
I'd like to see it.
Untrue.
Don't speak. Don't speak. You're talking about this cut?
Yes, ma'am.
And where was that?
That's on my neck. That was right here, across the front.
Oh, I see. Okay. Go ahead.
So when we were tussling, so she threw the car battery at my hand. I looked down at my hand. I look at the broken doorknob, and when I'm looking at the broken doorknob, I look back up.
Which doorknob is?
The front door. Well, from when I grabbed the door, and when she tossed it, it hit my hand and slammed the doorknob down.
Okay.
So I look down at my hand, and I see nothing but white inside of my hand. My hand was bleeding. Well, was about to start bleeding, but I saw the white, I saw the bone, I saw everything. So I looked up, and I was like, "What did you do? Are you crazy?" And at that point, she says, "I don't care anymore." She grabs me by my shirt, and she pulls me into the house and starts punching me. Oh. At that point, when she starts punching me, I was like, you know what, that's it, and I started going back at with her.
No.
After punches were exchanged, I left.
Judge, those are the punches on the video that he did.
Just a second. I saw that she had an injury. He acknowledges that he hit her in the mouth.
So what I want to also add to that, because I saw him that same morning. I talked to him. He claimed at 7 o'clock in the morning he was on his way to a funeral. I told him, I said, well, look, I just spoke with my sister. I'm going by and get the kids some stuff. Don't come to the apartment. He shows up. Nothing wrong. I didn't see a scratch anywhere. And I asked him, why are you here? Well, I'll just come let you know that I filed a police report. Why are you here?
Shh, just a second. So he filed a police report. Can I see a copy of that police report? Do you have it?
I do not have a copy of the police report.
So after he told you that he filed a police report, you went back to your sister's house. I assume you got...
No, I hadn't went to my sister's house. So my sister called me.
To go get things... Just a second, Rick. Your sister called you and told you that your daughter was there with your grandchildren.
Right.
Could you go and pick up things for them?
Right.
So you drove over to the apartment where they had lived together.
Right.
He came.
Right.
Said, I've just filed a police report against your daughter.
Right.
Then you went to your sister's house and you decided to go to the emergency room of the hospital.
Yes.
And then you filed a police report, or your daughter did.
We didn't file it at the hospital.
No, I didn't say at the hospital. Subsequently, you filed a police report.
Correct.
Do you have a copy of that police report?
I have my affidavit.
No, I don't want an affidavit. I want
we should have
a copy of the police report.
Let me see.
That's it.
Okay, Kevin.
Alongside with my injuries that...
I saw your injury. Well, this police report, the charge is assault of a family member impeding breathing.
Yes.
And the affidavit reads, defendant, on or about February 20th, did then and there unlawfully, intentionally, and knowingly cause bodily injury to Safari Williams, the complainant, with whom the defendant had a dating relationship by impeding the normal breathing and circulation of blood by applying pressure to the complainant's throat. Okay.
So right here, I have a copy of the motion to dismiss, which shows that they dropped the impeding breath, showing that I did not choke her.
That we know. The case was dismissed. Do you have a copy of the visitation order? You don't have joint custody because you indicated you had joint custody.
We have joint custody now.
When were you granted joint custody?
August 1st.
Was that after the mediation?
After the mediation, yes, ma'am.
And Ms. Williams, did you consent to the joint custody? Or did the mediator, after the trial, recommend joint custody?
Yes, I did consent to it.
You did? And that was the mediator's recommendation?
Correct.
Okay. The only thing I have to ask you, Mr. Clarence, is For what period of time from the 20th of February, was it until August or October that you didn't see the children?
So actually, it wasn't actually until that June. Orders were signed October. She failed to sign the children up for the domestic relation office for the supervised visitation. She failed to sign them up for another 6 months.
Not true.
So it was an additional 6 months?
An additional 6 months.
Okay.
Judge, during that time where he was saying that he was trying to see the kids, he wasn't paying child support.
I don't care whether he was or whether he wasn't. I wouldn't pay child support if I had an order that said I couldn't see my children. Do you understand what I'm saying?
But it wasn't one of those keep the children type things away. It definitely wasn't. And when
Miss Williams, Miss Williams, I'm done with this case. I got it.
Devon Clarence claims his ex-fiancée, Safari Williams, owes for a false arrest, abuse, and emotional distress. Safari is countersuing for assault and defamation.
While he has many causes of action in his complaint, the only one that I find actually viable, because they did, in fact, both of them engage in domestic violence against each other on February 20th. This is not a I say, you say. This is
because I went into the apartment and he had tape. He had electrical tape on the door. He kept my door there all night.
I want you to not speak. I want you to listen.
Okay.
I'm finished with the fact finding in this case. Your daughter and Mr. Clarence had a domestic incident on February 20th. It is clear to me that your daughter got the worst of the physical bargain, but she was, in fact, the aggressor. She did, in fact, put her hands on him first. I'm not asking you a question. I'm telling you, based upon what she told me, she put her hands on him first, twice. They had a fight. It was unpleasant, and she ended up certainly more injured than he did. It was nasty.
Yes, it was.
There is not a scintilla of evidence that Mr. Clarence should have been denied seeing his children as a result of a restraining order for over a year.
He wasn't
there. Just a second. Sit. Now you don't get it. Okay. Now you don't get it. I'm not listening to you. Now I'm ruling. There is not a scintilla of evidence that Mr. Clarence, who lived with these children for 4.5 years, who took care of them regularly alone, should have been denied seeing his children for over a year. And that's what happened because she asked for a restraining order that included the children. That's what happened. And that's outrageous because two adults who have children can fight with each other and they can be angry with each other and they can be vicious with each other, which they were, but they created two children. And the proof of the pudding is in the tasting because after it was all said and done, Mr. Clarence has joint custody of the children. So for a person that went from not being able to see his children then to supervise visits, because that's what he asked for, and that took an additional 6 months, that is an outrageous outcome. Outrageous. Because I know that you would think it was outrageous if Mr. Clarence prevented your daughter from seeing the children for 2 days, for 1 day. I would think it was outrageous. And in this country, mothers and fathers have the same rights to children. Not they're her children or his children, they are their children. And if she feels threatened by him and had a protective order, that's okay. But then you are cooperative with regard to seeing the children, either in a supervised manner or some other manner. But asking for a restraining order that includes the children when there was never any indication that Mr. Clarence was an irresponsible parent is outrageous. I find that on the cross-complaint for assault, I find that Miss Williams was, in fact, seriously injured in her mouth as a result of this altercation. I also find that she was the provocateur because she put her hands on him first. So I'm dismissing your cross-complaint, and I'm granting your complaint, Mr. Clarence, with regard to the children and the protective order which precluded you from seeing your children for that length of time. Do you understand?
Yes, ma'am.
Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $5,000. On that issue alone, the remainder of your complaint is dismissed. Your counterclaim is dismissed for the reasons that I've stated. We're finished here. Thank you.
Thank you, Judge.
This court is adjourned.
I don't believe that I was ever the aggressor. He was always the person to gaslight me, especially when he brought the kids or he always taking the kids.
I've never gaslit her. I've always told her exactly what things are, told her the truth on matters. And a lot of people just can't handle the truth on things. So if you can't handle the heat, get out the kitchen then.
He saw that I didn't care anymore. He saw that I just dried up and just said, you know what, it's done. So if you want to leave, leave, please.
No, that day I had a cool head. I tried to my best to get out that situation. Made many attempts, a beeline for the door, and she just wouldn't let me leave.
I just want to be a mom. Just like you want to be a dad so bad, let me be a mom. But I could never get that from him, so.
I try to keep things cordial so the way my children can grow up in a favorable household.
What's your takeaway?
I think a big thing that I'm sure happens, you've seen it far more frequently than I have, but I'm sure it happens a lot, is mothers or fathers, but mostly mothers, who get into domestic violence situations or even assaults, even though here we decided that it was more of a mutual combat situation, but even so, they feel that they need a restraining order to protect themselves from their partner. And that's fair. You know, you feel threatened, your life, your safety, but that does not automatically transfer to children, like you said, that you share together. Because as we saw here, with very little, you know, we found out in the first 5 minutes of questioning that this was more of a mutual combat than a one-sided assault.
She just got the worst bargain.
Of course, but still not enough to keep a man from his children for over a year.
You know, it's sort of interesting. It's easier and safer for judges, for family court judges or criminal court judges, to sign off on these sweeping protective orders that cover place of work, your home, the children's school, the children. It just is easier to check all the boxes and say, we'll take care of it at trial. Well, that might be okay if everybody gets a trial in a week. In this case, it took 3 years for it to be resolved. So,
for something he probably should have had from the beginning, joint custody, you know, given that they both cared for the children together.
And certainly not deprived of any contact whatsoever for well over a year.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
Case number 3107, Murphy versus Beard. All parties, please come forward.
Jennifer Murphy is suing her car renter, Lindsay Beard, for missed payments and damage to her vehicle.
Ms. Murphy, several years ago, you were planning to go out of the country. When were you planning to go out of the country?
December 2018.
And you had a car at the time, a car that you were making payments on?
Yes.
That had a loan on it?
Yes.
And what were the loan payments every month?
There were $375 and 68 cents.
And what year car was it?
It's a 2013.
So it's 11 years old now. And in 2018, you made an arrangement with the defendant, who you knew how?
My sister's client.
She needed a car. You were introduced. You made an arrangement with her in 2018 to rent your car that you both acknowledge for $375.68 a month?
$374.68, and it was in 2020.
It was in 2020?
Yeah, the date was January 5th, 2020.
Is that the date you made the arrangement?
Yes.
And is there a contract for the
There
lease
is,
of this
right
car?
here.
I'd like to take a look at it, please.
Here you go. Oh, sorry.
Okay, so let's read the terms of this agreement. First one is payment of $374.68 via Zelle. Now, with regard to that provision of the lease agreement, you returned the car on what date?
I picked it up on October 24th.
2023. So she had the car 2.5 years.
More like 3.5 years.
And in those 3.5 years, you were out of the country.
Yes.
Part of your claim here is that she failed to make several payments. She says she has all the payments. Have you gone over the payments with each other so that you can check your accounts?
No, I mean, I have my printed Zelle from my bank, and she has a spreadsheet that she was filling out each month that she received a payment.
You have that?
I do, yes.
Yes. And you acknowledge that?
That I had sent her the spreadsheet each month. I also have the emails of the Zelle payments, and I am missing the 8 payments from her, so I'm curious. She never explained that.
I'm not curious. You're going to go outside with my clerk, and you're going to go through these. You don't expect me to go through 3.5 years of car payments, do you?
Okay.
Now, if you don't want to waste my time, we can acknowledge that they were either paid or we can move on to the next action. What's your pleasure?
I don't believe they were paid.
Okay. Sarah, go deal with them. Math is not my strong suit, and this kind of nonsense is not worth my time. Go figure out if there were any missed payments that they can prove, will you please?
Yeah.
Thank you. She is correct.
Jennifer Murphy claims defendant Lindsay Beard rented her car for years and damaged the vehicle.
Sarah?
Okay, so there was a total of 11 missed payments that the defendant had no proof that she had paid. However, there were months that the plaintiff admitted where she paid more or double to make up for missing months, which she credited in the spreadsheet that I looked at. So there were a total of 8 missed payments, not including those makeup payments that she had made.
Did you total that?
I did, totaling to $2,997.44.
Thank you. Okay, and I'm reading the lease, so that was the first thing. So on that, you owe $29.97. Lessee will not drive more than 2,000 miles per month. There's no problem indicated in your petition about that, so that she's complied with the terms of this lease. Will keep up with all regular maintenance of the vehicle. You have any proof that she didn't do that?
Well, beside my car, when I got it back, it was not in a very good condition.
You left it 3.5 years. The car's 11 years old. She had to have changed the oil periodically if she had it 3.5 years. You know, the fact that your car is now older and it was driven by somebody else 3.5 years, there's a certain amount of wear and tear on a car, and things break down unless you have a mechanic who's going to tell me that you did something to the car, which are you a mechanic?
No.
No.
I also have all the records of me going and doing
Not
that.
Not necessary.
So.
It's her burden of proof.
Absolutely.
It's good that you have the paperwork as a defense that you took care of the car. Will carry full insurance coverage. Did you do that? There's no allegation that you did not. Will not allow other persons to drive the car. There's not an allegation in here that she did and let other people use the car. Violation of this cause for immediate termination, and that's it. So far, I have $2,997. Now, she returned the car because she came back to the country. Okay, on what date did she return the car?
I picked it up on October 24th, 2023.
And where did you go with the car?
Immediately, I went back to my
house. To your residence?
Uh-huh.
Okay. Did you take the car out again on October 24th?
No.
When was the next time you took it someplace?
On October 26th, I took it to the dealership.
Why?
To have it inspected.
Just a second.
Okay.
My question is, why did you take it to the dealership? Because if you drove it home and there was something wrong with it, you would have taken it immediately to the dealership if you found something wrong with it. You didn't take it to the dealership the 24th. You didn't take it to the dealership on the 25th. Why did you take it on the 26th? Just to check it out?
No, I did notice things immediately wrong with it.
What?
For one, the AC wasn't working, the car wasn't locking.
What does that mean, the car wasn't locking?
When I used the fob, it wouldn't lock, it was doing nothing.
It was doing nothing, but you were driving with it. It was just that electrical thing that wouldn't open and close. Did you put a new battery in the fob?
No.
Oh, no. That's the first thing I do. When it doesn't open, it doesn't close, these things go, you take it in, costs $5, you put in a new battery and you close it and then it locks. It's not as if the car didn't work. Okay, what else?
The door sensors weren't working as well.
I don't know what that means, the door sensors.
It looks like my car door is always open on the electrical component. So there's just a lot of weird electrical things going on with it.
You have any proof to demonstrate to me that she caused any of this problem?
So I found out she had a DUI while she was using my car, and she lied to my sister about it, telling her that I knew about it, that she had told me about it, but I had no idea.
But she didn't keep it a secret. She told your sister.
She did tell my sister.
And that's how you met her.
Yes.
So if she told your sister, she wasn't keeping it a secret from you.
Well, she didn't tell me either.
I don't care, but she wasn't keeping it a secret. She told the person who actually brought the deal together.
Well, she lied to my sister also.
Just a second.
Okay.
I'm asking you a question. Proof that this electrical wonking was her fault.
Well, I had seen in the court documents on her DUI that she was ordered to install an IID, an ignition interlock device, which she did on my vehicle, had it installed and uninstalled. And in that, you have to cut the wiring to...
I don't know if you have to... What kind of work do you do?
I'm a yoga instructor.
Well, unless you're a car mechanic, you're not going to testify as to what they have to do when they install a piece of equipment. By the way, just tell me what month and year you had a DUI.
It was February or March of 2020.
But you had the car for 3 years after that.
I did, yes.
Listen to me. 3 years after that. And she is correct that you had to have a machine installed.
I had to have the interlock, yes.
Okay. That if you breathe into something, if your breath smells from alcohol, the engine wouldn't start.
Yes, it's connected to the battery.
Okay. And you did have that installed. How long was that in the car?
Almost the entire time I had the car.
After
getting arrested. So about a month later after me getting the car, I had to have the installation put in.
Okay. And when did you have it taken out?
Actually, 3 or 4 days before she picked the car up.
Okay. And who took it out for you?
The same company that put it in.
Okay, fine. I'm just telling you that, Miss Murphy, because if you think that you can prove a case of negligence against a company, it's not her. She neither put it in or took it out. Got it? She owes you $2,997. And she owes you that for the missed payments that she can't prove she made, that you say on your spreadsheet she missed, and that Sarah confirmed. Anything else? No. Good. Thank you very much. We're finished here.
This court is adjourned.
Currently, my car's dead. It's not operating because of the electrical damage.
There is no damage to the car.
I do think it's the wiring, and I know it hooks up to the starter because we've been researching it. She's saying the battery, but it's the starter. And it did render it inoperable.
I mean, I watched the guy do it. They go in through the panel, they connect it to the battery, and it's done in 30 minutes.
My car is my car. No one's gonna be borrowing it.
I'm just glad it's done.
Really trying to keep me on my toes there. I know math is not your strong suit, but you also passed that gene down to me, so I find it interesting that you just farm out all the math skills over here.
Well, first of all, you're the clerk. I'm the judge.
Yeah, I don't mind doing it. I'll do it all day long, all day long.
And you figured it out.
I did. No,
it would have probably taken me a lot longer.
Oh, man. Yeah, no, it was good. I mean, you don't have it here, you don't have it. It doesn't exist, so made it easy.
Paul Cole is suing his customer, Paula Capestro, for the cost of a racehorse and lost earnings.
Court come to order. All rise.
Have a seat, please.
Case 3118, Cole versus Capestro.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Mr. Cole, the case is relatively simple. You claim that the defendant owes you for a horse that you sold to her. The defendant is counterclaiming for the money she expended taking care of the horse, which she said you abandoned, and the sale for the horse was never concluded. Correct?
Correct.
Okay, let me get some background information from you, Mr. Cole. You were not originally in the horse business.
Nope.
Nope is not an answer. Nope,
no,
you say to a friend. Here, no. The answer is no. And your business, according to what I read in your complaint, was racetrack.
One of my businesses is owning a dirt racetrack, yes.
When did you develop an interest in horses?
Probably about 25 years ago. I've been friends with our trainer and been around the horse track for my whole life. My family and I decided it would be a good leisure activity for us. And
when did you decide
we
to
bought
purchase
our
your
first horse? We bought our first horse in May 23rd of 2023.
And I assume then you relied on your friend and witness to help you make that purchase.
Yes, Your Honor.
What was the name of that first horse?
Hangar 1.
So the first horse that you purchased was the horse in question?
Yes, ma'am.
And where were you going to keep him?
The racetrack offers stables for the horses that race there at no charge, and it's maintained by the trainer. Takes care of the feed. We pay him a day rate to take care of the horse.
Your trainer?
The trainer, correct.
This gentleman?
Correct.
Okay. I didn't understand a word that you used in your complaint, sir. You said, my friend suggested I buy a couple of horses. I assume that this is your friend.
Yes, ma'am.
We went to a claiming race, and I claimed a thoroughbred named Hanger 1. Tell me what a claiming race is, sir.
So what a claiming race is, the horses race for a price, and any horse in that race can be purchased by a licensed owner by putting a claim sheet in before the race starts. So 10 minutes before the race starts, you have to put the money up to purchase that horse. In this case, the horse was in for $5,000.
The horse was in the race.
Right. Any horse in that race can be purchased for $5,000.
So it's a fixed price, $5,000. And you purchased Hanger 1 on the 23rd of May, 2023. You claimed that, we call it claiming, you paid $5,000 for the horse. Since the horse stays at the racetrack and is run regularly, how regularly?
About every 2 to 3 weeks.
Now, you bought it on May 23rd, which means it raced on May 23rd.
Correct.
And when was the horse's next race?
I believe it was June 3rd.
Did it win?
Did not.
When did it race again?
June 23rd.
Did it win?
Did not.
When did it race again?
July 4th.
Did it win?
It did not.
When did it race again?
I believe it was July 18th.
Did it win?
It finished 3rd.
The answer is it did not win. Next time it raced.
It was scheduled to race on August 1st. Our trainer noticed that he had inflamed tendon sheath, which is kind of like tennis elbow, and we planned to scratch him that day so he'd have time to rest before he raced him again.
And he never raced again for you?
Did not.
And that's when you decided that this was not a horse that you wanted to keep?
We were planning on keeping him. The offer came in discussions between our trainer and the defendant, discussing taking the horse and moving into the show world.
So far you've had this horse and you never saw it win a race?
Correct.
And then you decided to sell it?
You know, the opportunity to give the horse a life in the show world, with getting our money
Mr.
out,
Cole,
seemed like a reasonable argument.
Mr. Cole.
Yep.
I'm not a stupid woman. You don't sell something you want. You sell something if you're disappointed in it. So far, you've kept the horse from May until August. You know, if you tell the truth, you don't have to have a good memory. I want you to pay attention to that phrase. Okay. How much money do you make a day? How much money?
$60 per horse.
How many horses do you take care of?
Right now, I got 2.
You want to tell me how you got involved with these two people?
My husband says it was very dumb of me.
Okay. Well, you never knew him, according to what I read.
I never knew Paul Cole. I did know Jimmy Patine. Jimmy's father approached me, asked me to call him and teach him about the new HISA rules, H-I-S-A rules, which is the Horse Racing Integrity Safety Act, which is new. It was started in about July a year ago. I did so. Jimmy said he was doing well.
This is Jimmy.
The trainer.
Just a second. Stand up. Move over. Do you remember that conversation, Jimmy?
Yes.
And you remember what date that conversation was?
Not exactly.
Do you remember when that was?
Probably around July sometime.
So you told him to watch his back, be careful, there was a new sheriff in town.
Absolutely. So then he showed me a horse, a picture of which is right here.
What's your business, by the way?
I'm a bloodstock agent and a horse trainer.
How long have you been doing that?
30 years.
So this is a picture of the horse, a pretty horse.
Gorgeous.
Okay, and that's Hanger 1.
That's Hanger 1, yes.
Keep going.
So he shows me the photo of the horse and says, what do you think? Do you think this horse will make it in the show ring? And I said, absolutely. He's gorgeous.
But just a second. You remember that conversation?
Yes.
You think the horse will make it in the show ring?
Yes.
Was this conversation in person?
It was on the phone.
How did you get the picture?
He texted it to me.
Correct?
Yes.
Okay. Now, at that time, Jimmy, at that time you were working for Mr. Cole.
Yes.
We're going to get to independent thought. If your trainer had told you on May 23rd that the horse had had a broken leg in the past, would you have bought it?
Yes.
Baloney.
Paul Cole claims his customer, Paula Capestro, refuses to pay for the racehorse she purchased. Paula is countersuing for the costs of caring for the horse.
Right now, you helped him select Hanger 1 back in May. Is that correct?
Yes.
And Hanger 1 was underperforming.
Yes.
And you also noticed prior to this conversation that the horse had sort of swollen ankles.
Yes.
And I want you to be very careful with this answer. You discussed the swollen ankles with Mr. Cole.
Yes.
Did you discuss with him selling the horse?
Yes.
Prior to your conversation with the defendant?
No.
When?
Shortly thereafter, I had talked to Paula.
Well, why would you ask her if she were interested and text her a picture of this horse if your boss hadn't told you that he was looking to get rid of the horse? Come up with an answer, Jim. Don't speak, Cole. Come up with an answer, Jimmy. You're an employee. You told him to buy the horse. The horse underperformed and then had swollen ankles, which you saw.
One swollen ankle.
Is that the same swollen ankle where it had a broken ankle? Is that the same ankle?
I never knew the horse to have a broken ankle, man.
But now you know.
I do now.
Now you know. So I'm asking you a question.
I don't.
Was that the same ankle?
I'm not 100% certain.
Are you 90% certain? No. Has anyone told you since, Jimmy, that the horse had a broken ankle at some point in its life?
I'm not 100% certain which ankle was broken.
But you knew.
The tendon sheath was on the left front.
So now, just serendipitously, you're speaking to this person who was a friend of your father's and who you knew, and ask her, do you think it would be a nice show horse? So now we're going to get back to your case. It is your claim, Mr. Cole, that there was a contract for the sale of this horse for $5,000, that the defendant, Ms. Capestro, picked up the horse, didn't pay anybody the $5,000, and within days or a week, called you and said, this horse is injured. I don't want it. You say the sale was concluded. She owes you the $5,000 for the horse. That's your case. It is the defendant's position that she picked up the horse to have a look-see at it before she paid $5,000, which is why she didn't pay $5,000 when she picked up the horse. She didn't give you $5,000, did she?
No.
Didn't give you $5,000, did she? She just picked up the horse, which you gave her. Were you there when she picked up the horse?
Yes.
All you have to do is tell the truth. Then you don't have to have a good memory. Do you understand? So you were there when she picked up the horse. Did you ask her for the $5,000? That's a question. Did you ask her for the $5,000?
No.
Now, that was on the 2nd of August. Did you tell Mr. Cole that the horse had been picked up?
Yes.
And what did he say to you?
Good.
Good. Did he say to you, where's my money? The answer is yes or no. No.
Not at that moment.
No. When did you ascertain that the defendant was not happy with the horse?
I believe it was the following Friday. They had the vets come out, I guess, to look at the horses. Jimmy, did you say to her, what do I care about whether the vet's coming to look at the horse or not? Where's Mr. Cole's money? No, I didn't say that.
No, because you knew she was having the vet come out to look at the horse to make sure that the horse was okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Before she bought it.
The reason why she was having the horse vetted out was because they're worth a lot more money in the show world if the horse has a vet clearance saying that she could possibly be making 6 figures with the horse.
Maybe it would turn into the most substantial horse in the world. What did that have to do with Mr. Cole's money? She wasn't going to give him any more money if the vet came out and said, oh, this is some bargain for $5,000. She wasn't going to say, listen, I'll give you $50,000 for the horse.
No. We wanted $5,000, which is what we paid for it, and she thought she thought she'd get out on the horse no matter what. But if the horse did vet out, it was going to be definitely a bigger payoff for her.
Okay, I don't think so. Anyway, now you have to prove to me, Mr. Cole, that there was a completed sale, because certain things are common sense.
This is the copy of the letter that I sent to her, indicating that we delivered the horse. She indicated...
No. Before you sent her a letter demanding your money, I want to see a completed contract. It can be a contract.
It was a verbal contract.
Show me the texts that complete the contract, because right now, Mr. Cole, I want to tell you what I see. I see somebody picking up an animal and having it checked out by the vet. Nothing was done, and she agreed to pay the $5,000 for the horse if the horse checked out. Just a second. I don't want to see your statements to her that you owe me money. I want to see, when she bought the horse, text messages.
That's what I have right here, Your Honor.
I want to take a look at.
On Wednesday, July 26th, She starts the conversation back
Just
and
a
forth.
second, I'm going to look at it. On August 4th, you wrote, Paul Cole, please send him the money so I don't have to deal with this anymore. She responds, sorry, Paul, but your horse has a lot of issues. It's going to take 6 months rehab before we can give him away to a nice home. Jimmy, your horse has all kinds of problems. This is why we always vet them. Has to be done. I'm sending the report now. That's what she wrote to you. Mr. Cole, would you have purchased this horse if you knew that it had a broken leg when you were going to race it? The answer is either yes or no. Would you have
It did not
purchased...
have a broken leg when we raced it, when it was racing.
Just a second. If your trainer had told you on May 23rd that the horse had had a broken leg in the past, would you have bought it?
Yes.
Baloney.
Because it also gets confirmed by the state vet and the track vet, not just his word.
I'm just going to look and see whether or not the horse had a broken leg.
There was no way for us to know until after.
Well, that would not be her problem. Can I see the vet's report, please?
Both of these. Your Honor, there's 2 reports.
Shh. Oh, this has a report, study date August 3rd. This was the day after you got him.
That's correct, Your Honor.
So the horse broke his leg on June 7th of 2022. Which leg?
Same one, left front.
You didn't buy the horse sight unseen. You relied on your trainer to tell you that a state vet was going to look at the horse. And if that horse didn't pass state inspection, you could void the sale.
Correct.
That's exactly what she did.
Paul Cole has accused his customer, Paula Capestro, of refusing to pay for the racehorse she purchased. Paula is countersuing, claiming Paul knowingly sold her an injured horse.
Where's the horse now?
The horse is in the possession of...
And how did that happen?
She was the one that had the horse when he originally fractured his ankle in 2022. I contacted her, and that's when I learned that it had been the same ankle that had fractured again now in 2023.
So you gave the horse back to that person?
She's a good caretaker.
Just a second. I'm asking you a question.
Yes, I sent it back.
For nothing?
Nothing.
Do you know who you bought the horse from?
The owner was that we claimed the horse from in the race, was the trainer.
So you got it from her who had been racing the horse?
Correct.
Now, when you told Mr. Cole to buy the horse, did she tell you that the horse had broken its ankle?
Nobody. We didn't know.
I never knew until the vet report that she sent.
Well, let me ask you this question. Mr. Cole, if you knew then what you know now, would you have purchased the horse?
No.
The answer is no. Wouldn't it have been a good idea, Mr. Trainer, to tell Mr. Cole, listen, it looks like a nice horse, but we really should get it examined before?
You can't do that.
You can't do that when you claim a horse.
Right.
As far as the horse is concerned, the horse never won a race that you saw.
Right.
Okay. When did you purchase a horse like this? You took it to the vet the very next day that you picked it up.
Correct.
When did you tell Jimmy that you weren't purchasing this horse?
2 days, 3 days later, I sent a text.
And what did the text say?
It was a copy of the text I sent to Mr. Cole.
Which said what?
I can't buy your horse. He's got a lot of problems. It's a good thing you quit racing.
And so you sent it to Mr. Cole?
Yes.
No.
And what did Mr. Cole say to you in response?
You put it in the trailer, you own it.
Now I'll see your letter.
So I never had any conversation or text back and forth with her. I sent her this letter as the first communication I had with her, in which time I was seeking payment. Her response is written at the bottom.
She said to you in her answer, and you said, I demand my money. And she said, Hanger 1 did not pass the vet exam, and I opted out of the sale. This was disclosed to Jimmy along with the vet report. Jimmy was coming to pick up the horse or leave him as a giveaway horse. Did you answer her?
I did. We started with a long list of texts back and forth that you should have.
Oh, okay. So it comes in here.
Correct.
Well, so it was your position that the minute she took possession of the horse, it became hers.
These are the agreements that Jimmy and her had come together with.
It would be stupid. The fact that you were stupid and claimed a horse for $5,000 that it had a broken leg that could have been found out if you had the horse checked out, you chose to do that. You chose, instead of spending maybe $15,000 for a horse, to pay $5,000, sight unseen.
For a little clarity, when you claim a horse, the state vet afterwards vets the horse out after the race. If the horse does not pass, you can void the claim at that point.
Oh, so what you're saying to me is you didn't buy the horse sight unseen. You relied on your trainer to tell you that a state vet was going to look at the horse, and if that horse didn't pass state inspection, you could void the sale.
Correct.
That's exactly what she did.
Except for she didn't bring the horse back.
You wouldn't take the horse back.
She never offered to bring the horse back. She told us to come pick it up in Ohio.
Well, that's the same thing. And you said, no, this is a sale, it's finished. So she did the same thing that you did. So my problem with you, madam, quite frankly, is that you gave the horse back to her because you have a counterclaim. And your counterclaim is the money that you spent taking care of the horse, correct?
Correct.
Well, you're not going to get it. He's not getting his money. But I think it was terrible judgment, knowing what you knew, because he didn't know. I believe Mr. Cole. So you're not getting the money.
Okay.
But I do believe that when you buy a horse, like you did, even claiming it, it has to pass a vet's inspection. This vet said it passed inspection. It clearly was a smell test because the horse had a broken leg. Had a broken leg.
It had a broken leg, but not currently had a broken leg.
Okay.
It was cleared to run.
Okay. You know, I'm going to leave you two people exactly where I found you. This was a really very interesting educational process for me. But I think she took the horse with the intention of having a vet check it out. It didn't. She told you to come and get it, and you didn't, so you don't get your money. So you'll eat the expenses that you incurred with the vet and everything else with regard to the horse. We're done. Your claim and counterclaim are both dismissed. We're done.
This court is adjourned.
She's giving it away to somebody else, and we're going home empty-handed and very disappointed.
I think the judge's decision was very fair.
Just because it had an old injury doesn't mean he was still not a good racehorse.
I do know the previous owner was very conscientious in healing the horse the first time.
In this case, we looked more out for the horse and giving him an opportunity to be in the show world than we did worried about the money.
No, it's the best interest of the animal.
I learned a lot about a field that I knew very little about before today and reading the case.
Me too.
But I think that the horse would have been better off just in a nice pasture, enjoying its days. But I think that giving it back to the original owner probably wasn't the right thing to do.
You know, my original sympathies were totally with the defendant.
Mm-hmm.
But she was a pro. I think that they both deserve each other. She had just nicer frosting.
Tanya Labriola is suing her neighbor, Noel Chang, for vandalism caused by her 11-year-old son, William.
Court come to order. All rise.
Have a seat, please.
Judge, case 3151, Labriola versus Chang.
Thank you. You're welcome. You own a home.
Yes, ma'am.
And it is your allegation that I assume this young man, who is your son,
yes, ma'am,
vandalized your home.
Correct.
Which had been freshly painted. Correct. Because you added an addition, so it was just painted. And he vandalized it by throwing paint on it and some fencing or some wall. And the defendant's mother says he wasn't the instigator. He did, in fact, do it, but she was going to clean it off. And she thought your estimate to fix it was too high. So what's your first name?
William.
Stand up with your mother. You're 10?
11, ma'am.
Tall for 11.
Thank you.
Okay. So on what date did you vandalize the plaintiff's house?
I'm not sure.
What month was it?
December.
Saturday or Sunday?
Pretty sure it was a Sunday.
You remember what time?
No.
Morning, afternoon, night?
Morning, transitioning into the afternoon.
What were you doing outside? Did your mother tell you to go outside?
Yes.
And who did you go outside with?
My friend.
Did you take your bikes or did you walk?
Bikes.
And you went over to where the plaintiff's house is, and there's also a construction site. So I want you to go over there and show me where you and your friend went. All right. Now, point to the plaintiff's house. Okay. So you went to the house next door?
Yes.
Were they doing construction at the house next door?
What do you mean by that? Like people there currently?
You threw paint on the plaintiff's house. Where did you get the paint from? Show me in that picture. That's what I thought. So you got the paint from somebody else's house?
Yes, ma'am.
Do you understand? He got the paint from somebody else's house and took the paint to the plaintiff's house.
Can I clarify?
Sure.
My understanding is he did not vandalize her house. He vandalized the other house.
Well, you don't know that at all, actually. You don't know that at all because you weren't there. You don't know that at all.
Based on the evidence and what my son said, that it is true he vandalized one house and the other kid vandalized the other house.
Okay. Now, come over here. If you tell the truth, you don't have to have a good memory. Take the pen and show me where you walked and where you got the paint. You walk there, and then stop where you got the paint. You got the paint there. How many cans of paint were there?
4.
4. So there were 4-gallon cans of paint?
No.
How big?
Yeah, big, not very big.
4. So you each carry 2?
No, I took 1, he took 3.
And what was your intention when you took the 1?
Use it on this house.
Use it for what on the house?
I don't know.
What do you mean you don't know?
I wasn't really thinking.
When did you and your friend separate?
About right there.
And show me where you stayed and show me where your friend went. What is that with the pen? You stayed where?
Here. Went here.
And you let him go there all by himself?
Yes.
I don't believe a word of that. Give me my pen back. Give me my pen back.
Yes, ma'am.
Now you can go stand with your mother. You have an estimate to paint the house?
I do.
May I see it, please? And I'd like to see the photographs.
Absolutely. I have an estimate for the repainting as well as the north side of my house. The fence was splattered with paint as well. And then I had 6 boxes of flooring that were damaged. And
let me just
I have all of that. And here is the damages.
And the estimate that you got was $3,800, and you said that the other people paid $1,900, which is half. Okay.
Correct. And then I received an invoice for the fence painting, which I didn't have initially, and as well as
That's
the
too
flooring.
bad. That's too bad. $1,900, which, as you said, is half the estimate. Now I want to see. Oh. Okay. So now I have this question for you.
Yes, ma'am.
When you came home, your mother said to you, you have paint on your shoes, right?
Yes.
And she asked you what happened. How'd you get paint on your shoes? Tell me what you told her.
I told her that I went over to the house down the road.
You got it at the house down the road?
Yes.
You had to have told her more because she went with you to where the damage was to the house and you started cleaning it with your mother, correct?
Correct.
And where did you start to clean with your mother first? Because pay careful attention, because when the plaintiff came home, she found you and your mother cleaning the house in the back. Do you understand?
Yes, ma'am.
So now what I want you to do is show me when you and your mother first came to the property, where did you show her the damage was? Go over there. Show me where you told your mother the damage was.
Here and here.
Well, how did you know the damage was there? You said that you didn't go there. How did you know that there was any damage there? When you...
Tanya Labriola claims her neighbor, Noel Chang, owes for property damage after her 11-year-old son, William, vandalized her house.
Now, you said that you stayed right in the back of that first house and your friend went all the way up. Don't raise your hand. And your friend went all the way around the house with the 3 cans of paint that he was carrying. You only had 1. So how did you know that there was any damage to the plaintiff's house?
Because there wasn't any trees here, and you could just blatantly see them doing the paint over here.
It's not a flat house. It's a big house. Madam, walk over to the house and show me where the paint was on your house.
Can I show you a more accurate picture of the property?
No.
No.
Put it down. Show me where the damage was to your house. In the back end.
It was in all 3 sides, yes, ma'am.
All 3 sides?
Just not the front.
Okay. And you said that you didn't move from the back of the first house when your friend went all the way around the house. So my question now to you is, when you pulled up in your driveway and found the defendant's mother and this young man cleaning your house, where were they cleaning? Show me.
Okay, the mom was over here and her son was over here.
So the son was cleaning the house that he allegedly had nothing to do with vandalizing. Is that right?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, okay. Step back. You two. Anything else you want to tell me?
No, ma'am.
You know, I sort of know that this is the last time, at least I believe that this is the last time you're going to be in court like this. I sort of have that here because I think that this was an unpleasant experience both for you and your mother.
Yes, ma'am.
And when you get older, you realize that you don't want to repeat unpleasant situations because you get embarrassed. Your mother is embarrassed. I mean, your mother had other things to do rather than putting on plastic gloves and going scrubbing off latex paint on somebody else's house that day. So if you do the wrong thing happens. Now, if you do the right thing in life, it's not a guarantee that everything will go well for you. But I'm going to tell you, it's a damn good start. So if you try to do what is being a good citizen, what's being a good person, what's being a good neighbor. Do you live in a house?
Yes.
Does your mom own that house?
Yes, but I think she's still paying her mortgage.
Well, that she owns it if she's still paying a mortgage, but that's observant. So she owns her own house?
Yes.
How do you think she would feel if somebody came and threw paint on her house?
Upset.
Right. Because she's paying a mortgage. She wants it to look nice. She wants you to have a nice place to live. So you seem like a nice young man. And you have to realize that there are repercussions when you do the wrong thing. This lady had a house. She built an extension. She repainted the house. And somebody comes along and for sport vandalizes it with their friend. Because this was what we call a joint venture with your friend. Then you had to get your mother involved. This was on a weekend?
Yes.
So on a day when she does the working, she would ordinarily clean her own house. So instead, she had to get all dressed and ready and go and scrub a stranger's house. Not fair, right? Good. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $1,900. We're finished. Thank you very much.
This court is adjourned.
Devastated because I'm a teacher, a single mom of 2, and I've been working for years to save. I work 2 jobs, so it's heartbreaking.
Ultimately, I'm the one who is going to be responsible for paying this bill.
No, I think they were just 12 or 11, whatever age they were, and just wanted to do what they wanted to do.
I hope this will put me on the path to do the right thing, and hopefully I really, really will try my best to not make this kind of mistake again.
That actions have consequences.
Ready to put it behind me.
Oh, how you love the youth and to set them on the right path. That was a very well-spoken, seemed confident, smart 11-year-old.
Yeah.
And I think you scared it into him to make the right choices. And this seemed like a one-off type situation for him. It didn't seem like this was a trait that he carries on daily, in his regular life. And you never know. This experience for him might just be the thing that keeps him from ever doing anything like this again. It might be the little voice over peer pressure, over, instigation that could save him from making another mistake in his young years.
I used to say that in family court all the time, that I thought it was unwise to allow young people like this or a little bit older who committed these acts of vandalism, knocked over somebody's vegetable cart, took rocks and threw it and broke a window. And they would go into the probation department and they would say, don't do that again, you don't want to have to come in here with your mother again. And they let them go home. And I said, it's a tremendous mistake because if the first time you're brought into court, it's an unpleasant experience. People usually do not want to replicate an unpleasant experience. But if there's no consequence to doing these little petty things...
Then there's no contrary voice when you're about to do it.
There's no consequence, then that escalates. because there has to be a consequence. As a parent, if you tell your child to be in at 9 o'clock and they come in at 11 and there's no consequence, then they're going to come in at 12. And if there's no consequence, then they're going to come in next Thursday and you're going to deserve it.
Yeah.
Because there has to be consequential behavior. Anyway, I'm getting off my soapbox.
Katina Jones is suing her former dog groomer, Diana Torres, for vet bills and damages from negligent dog grooming services.
Court come to order. All rise.
Have a seat, please.
Case 3141, Jones versus Torres.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Ms. Jones, you have a dog that you allege was injured when you took the dog into the defendant's grooming place of business.
Correct.
You've used the defendant's facilities before.
Yes, ma'am.
She's groomed your dog before. What kind of a dog is it?
I have a Maltese. He's 3 years old.
And how long have you been taking it to the defendant's store?
Maybe 2 years now.
How often? Is it a male dog?
Yes, ma'am.
How many times a year do you take him to be groomed?
I try to take him for a haircut between every 8 weeks because I groom him in between with baths and things like that.
And you've never had a problem?
No, not before. With them, not up until this day.
Do you do the grooming yourself?
Myself or my other groomers, wherever she books, because we have a booking system, so she either calls and whatever groomer has an availability will book the dog under the groomer.
On the day in question, were you the groomer for the dog?
I wasn't at the beginning, but at the end, I was the one who finished the groom, correct.
Was that after the dog was injured?
Correct, yes, after the dog was injured.
Who was the groomer?
A seasonal groomer that we had.
What was the date of this visit where the dog was injured?
It was November 22nd, before Thanksgiving.
Did she ask for a specific groomer?
No.
What kind of a license do you need in order to groom dogs?
In the state of Texas, you do not need a license.
Now, why don't you tell me what happened when Miss Jones brought her dog in to be groomed? You say you finished the grooming. How did you start the grooming?
So the dog was dropped off, and we initially take the dog in, check in, and she let us know what she wanted done.
Who did you expect to groom your dog?
Miss Diane.
Had she usually groomed your dog?
Yes, ma'am.
Now, she dropped the dog off November 22nd.
Yes, ma'am.
It was a pretty crazy, hectic day before Thanksgiving.
Doesn't matter.
Okay.
Keep going.
He was matted because the dog hadn't been seen 2 months prior. Ms. Jones, she said she's been a customer for 2 years and only has come in 6 times, which we have documented. And every time she would come in, we would either need to do a neating up.
Listen to me. He started working on the dog, and then he cut the dog.
The dog got bathed, and then when he was grooming the dog, it was almost done. The last part that he had to do was remove a mat from underneath his leg, and which was where the incident happened.
Well, it was more than just an incident, Miss Torres.
The dew claw got cut.
Correct, and that's a big deal.
Yes.
What did you do after you, because then you looked at the dog, because the dog probably yelped.
Yeah, the dog,
Yes.
we were in a grooming salon, in a grooming room. So I was grooming my dog, and I heard the dog yelp, so I looked up, and I walked over there, and I applied pressure, and I told my groomer assistant, hey, can you call Pedro and tell him what happened? Because in order to take the dog to get seen from any vet, we need consent from the owner, because we can't just take a dog to the vet.
So?
Pedro ended up calling Miss Jones, let her know what happened, so we can get approval that we could take the dog
What did they tell you when they called?
When he called me, he told me that there had been an incident and Ace was at Animal Hospital. He never once asked me, was it okay? He told me
No. I just want you to tell me what you were told about the dog.
He told me that he had an accident and he had been cut. His nail was cut off too short. He told me it was a dew claw, which I wasn't familiar with the actual medical term of a dew claw, so I began to look it up. During the phone call, we stayed on the phone for 8 minutes. He informed me that it wasn't a big deal. I asked him, was he in pain? What's going on? He said no, he didn't even notice. So from my understanding,
Now, just a second. So then they took the dog to the vet.
He was already at the vet. When he called me, he was already at the vet.
Great, which is a responsible thing for them to do. So they took the dog to the vet, and he was cared for.
Right.
And then when he came back from the vet, you finished the grooming?
No. So
you finished the grooming before you took him to the vet?
No. I finished the groom after Ms. Jones had brought the dog back from the vet because the vet gave her care to take care of the wound during the Thanksgiving holiday. And they told her what needed to do in order to take care of the injury.
Okay, so now they've acted responsibly. They've taken the dog to the vet immediately. They contacted you. Did you get a vet bill?
Correct.
How much?
So I want to say the first one was like maybe 144. The second one was probably 120 or somewhere, just ballparking it.
Did you pay for the vet bills?
Yes, we paid for the bill and we comped the groom.
Just a second. So they paid for the vet bills. And they also, according to her, she just volunteered that they did not charge you for the grooming.
Right.
So they acknowledged that it was their fault that the dog got cut by comping the grooming and paying for the vet bills.
Right.
So far, you've done everything appropriately. What are you suing her for? This is nonsense. This doesn't...
Tina Jones claims her former dog groomer, Diana Torres, owes for vet bills and damages after her employee injured Katina's dog.
I don't know what you're suing for.
So his activity has declined. He's not the same. His mobility isn't the same. His daily activities that he doesn't do it like he used to. His running, him playing at our apartment, he have like this ramp that he jump up. He's not able to jump up. It's high. He don't jump off things as high as he would before.
That's a good thing.
And he always holds up his foot. So he's like his daily activities. His mobility, he don't run as fast, and he will hold up his foot.
And
I think it has stemmed, and vets have confirmed that it has stemmed from the incident of him cutting off the dew claw because it wasn't correctly removed. And not only when they cut it off, it became infected. So they treated it, they gave me antibiotics, they gave me pain meds.
They took the dog to the vet. You went there, you authorized that. They paid for it. I'm still trying to figure out, they've done the right thing with the dog.
Right.
They were negligent, and that's why they paid for the vet bill.
And because of the incident, because of the accident of them cutting off his dew claw, it have caused damages that's going to last
I don't know that. You have a vet here?
I have, yes,
listen to me. Listen to me. You're not an expert.
I'm not.
Right. What you're talking about is a diminished life because of this. His activity is different. So all I'm hearing is he can't jump up and he can't run as fast as he used to.
And it's because of the accident that they caused.
Just a second. You want $10,000 for your dog's disability?
He needs additional treatment. So
get me a vet to tell me what kind of additional treatment he needs.
I have it here, and I have highlighted it as well.
Okay, I'm going to take a look at it.
And the credible source is here.
No, don't give me a whole bunch of stuff.
Okay.
Just give me what I asked you for. It says, if the nail looks normal and is not, this is from the doctor and from Penn Vet. Actually, they're pretty good people. There is no evidence of redness or swelling or pain in the area. This could be something not related to the nail. Other causes of decreased mobility could be neck or back pain. There is also a potential that he could have an infection of the bone that the nail grows out of. And the only way to determine that would be an X-ray. Is that what you want me to read?
Right, and
Who cares? Who cares?
I have another documentation here from a credible source.
Just a second. If you tell me that you have another documentation, I'm going to look at it. Otherwise, this is nonsense. This doesn't support your argument that the dog has problems related to that. It said could be from a lot of things.
And the thing is, with the, I won't know, but they did say it could be
Well, I don't know.
infection.
Well, I'm not a mind reader, madam. I can't tell in the future.
But I need an X-ray in order to determine that.
Then get one.
And I need the funds from the people that caused the incident.
No. Pay for the X-ray and then sue her if it turns out that the problem with his foot has to do with an infection of the bone. Listen, it's an unfortunate thing. You take the dog to a groomer and there's an accident, which sometimes happens. I've taken dogs over the years to groomers and there have been minor mishaps. It seems to me like these groomers did the responsible thing by immediately addressing the dog, calling you, taking the dog immediately, closing down shop, whoever it was, right before Thanksgiving, taking your dog to the vet, paying for it, and of course saying, please, we're not charging you for the grooming, this was our fault. You're talking about something that might or might not happen in the future.
This has affected him.
Zero.
This has affected him.
Zero. And I'm a dog lover. They did the right thing, and so far I don't have any expert except you that says, my dog can't jump on and off the furniture, a bit of a blessing. and doesn't run as fast.
Because of the incident that they caused. I have documentation.
No, you don't have it. No, you don't. Not that I saw. Not that you gave me. You don't have any documentation.
None of this happened until they cut off his dew claw.
Miss Jones, they did the right thing. You're not able to be compensated for what might happen to the dog in the future because of this incident.
But they incorrectly removed his dew claw.
They did, and they took responsibility for it. Goodbye. Your case is dismissed.
This court is adjourned.
I'm very disappointed.
I think that she made the right decision.
Justice was not served for my dog.
It was about money. She wanted money.
I need to get x-rays. I would have to get exams. I would have to basically spend more money, and they should be held accountable for that.
I've taken our dogs over the years to groomers, and I remember once one of them was cut. I was furious. You know, they can't explain to you how it hurts. They can't explain. It's an accident. You're dealing with an animal that's moving around. But I think that the defendant in this case was a perfectly responsible person.
Paid for the vet bills, took the vet right away. Like she said, it was the week of Thanksgiving. I'm sure that it was very busy at the groomers, but still
closed it up
and took it to the vet, called her right away and paid for it and didn't charge her for the grooming. So, you know, what more can you do when there's an accident?
She also said that the plaintiff from the vet brought the dog back to the groomer to be finished grooming.
Yeah. So clearly the dog was in a better state after seeing the vet, well enough to finish a grooming. Exactly.
Right.
So I think the ask was a little high here.
I do too.
Hector Diaz is suing his niece-in-law, Blanca Padilla, for the value of a GoFundMe fundraiser and defamation.
Court come to order. All rise.
Have a seat, please.
Judge, case 3162, Diaz versus Padilla.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Mr. Diaz, I assume that this is your soon-to-be ex-wife.
Yes.
That lady sitting over there. And who was the young man with her?
Our son.
And this is the niece of your soon-to-be ex-wife.
Yes.
And your complaint is you're in the process of going through a divorce. It's not as easy as one would hope, and that your wife's niece decided to do a GoFundMe page for her aunt to help her pay for lawyers' fees and living expenses because you were not a nice person, and that she said things in the GoFundMe page that were defamatory, and you want her to pay for that.
Yes.
That's what the case is about. So let me get some preliminary information from you, Mr. Diaz. When were you and your wife married? What year?
November 28 of 1998.
And when did you separate?
1/25 of 2022.
You have children?
Yes.
How many? 2?
Yeah.
You had to think about that.
Yeah, 2. But what I'm thinking about is the time we separated. I think it was 2023, sorry.
You left the house?
Yes, I went to Hubbard House.
Okay. Now I'd like to see the GoFundMe page that Ms. Padilla created. And Ms. Padilla, you do not deny that you created the GoFundMe page?
I do not deny. I did create it.
Just a second. You did create it and you wrote it?
Yes.
And people donated money based on what you wrote?
Correct.
How much?
As of today, the total is $7,158.
Okay. And Ms. Padilla, I assume that you gave the plaintiff's wife that money.
Correct.
Just a second. Is that correct, or is there a caveat in there?
There is a caveat.
Let's have the caveat.
All the expenses were paid towards her mortgage and utilities directly or through a third party.
What third party?
Teresa Seamus.
Who is that?
She's a friend of the family.
Okay, so money was given to her to pay the bills directly?
Correct.
Okay, I'm going to read it out loud. It is with humble hearts that we reach out to you today for help in a situation involving our beloved Aunt Blanca. For 24 years, she has suffered in silence about her abusive marriage. During those years, she has endured psychological, emotional, spiritual, and physical abuse. She was belittled, insulted, manipulated, threatened, assaulted, controlled, and kept in the dark about all family finances. After several terrifying events, Blanca found the strength to finally speak up and seek help. She went to court and was awarded a restraining order against him and was able to return to her home. Her husband has become even more dangerous as has completely abandoned his responsibilities as a father and a husband. He has emptied all of their life savings, retirement accounts, bank accounts, and has maxed out most of their credit cards. He has fraudulently opened accounts in her name, as well as the kids, to ruin their credit and ability to obtain funds. Not only has he left them without any money and ruined them financially, but he has also gone as far as repossessed her car, shut off all of her utilities in the house, and closed most credit cards she had access to for food. He has threatened to stop paying the mortgage and leave them homeless. He continues to go on luxury shopping sprees, buying cars, a motorcycle, lavish vacations. Blanca has serious health issues, relies on medication and ongoing medical care. Her daughter suffers from life-threatening asthma, needs her medication as well. Her husband has violated his restraining order on several times without consequences. Both Blanca and her daughters are in constant fear for their lives. He has gone as far as saying she needs mental help and claims she's erratic and is a danger to her daughter. Everyone close to her in this situation knows this is far from the truth. Blanca and her daughter need protection and legal help to proceed with a divorce to keep him away. We ask for your financial help, and I write with great appreciation. Thank you all. And then on March 18th, you wrote again, I would like to inform everyone that I am being sued for the funds that were raised. I am being accused of defamation of character and a fraudulent GoFundMe page. The same person who continues to remain nameless, well, that's not true, would like to receive the funds that were raised for his family. The hearing will be held next week. What makes you think the same person who continues to remain nameless, what does that mean?
I didn't mention his name in the GoFundMe.
That's not a possible defense. You have to understand that. That is not a possible defense, that because you didn't put in his name, that he cannot be identified. You do understand that?
I do understand.
Okay. All right, so let's go back. I'm going to ask you a couple of questions.
Diaz claims his niece-in-law, Blanca Padilla, defamed him online by creating a GoFundMe fundraiser with false information.
Now, I want you to show me proof that he has opened up accounts in her name and the children's names. I want you to show me that he has opened accounts after they separated, which was January 25th, 2023, in her name and the children's names. I want you to do it.
I don't have that evidence. I don't have evidence.
Then you're guilty, madam. Just a second. Then you're guilty. Do you understand? I'm going to pick out things here and ask you that unless... Do you have proof that he opened up accounts in your name or your name
Not after January.
After January 25th, 2023?
Not after January 25th.
Then you're guilty. Because if accounts were open while they were together and while they're married, I'm not taking statements as to whether he had their consent. People do things when they're in a married situation. So do you have an account that he opened after January 25th, 2023? If the answer is yes, you can stand.
He had it still open and active after that, but he did not open it after 2023.
Then I'm not interested. What happened in your family prior to the separation of your family is within your family, and I'm not getting into your finances within your family. Right now, she says he has fraudulently opened accounts in her name as well as their kids to obtain credit funds. Wrong, guilty. See what happens when you butt into somebody else's business that you're supposed to stay out of?
But, Your Honor.
Don't speak.
Yes, Your Honor.
This has nothing to do with you. This has to do with you.
That's
what
correct.
You can prove to me. I'm not finished with this stick. Just a second. I'm going through line by line.
Okay.
I would like you to show me, or if you have them from the plaintiff's wife, any medical records describing physical abuse that she alleges happened at the hand of her husband. Do you have any?
I don't have medical records.
Doctor's reports?
No, I don't have medical records.
Okay, here we go. Do you have any proof that the plaintiff violated a restraining order that is in place against him?
Yes.
I'd like to see it.
So I have the arrest.
No, I just want to see. There's a protective order.
There's an injunction, yes.
There's a protective order.
And these are the police reports, the arrest warrant.
Okay, I'd like to see it.
Okay. And I have the injunction as well.
Okay, so you appeared before a judge in December of 2023.
Yes.
Were you ever served with a protective order? That's either a yes or a no.
Yes.
Okay. Did you go to court on that protective order?
No.
Did you have a hearing with regard to that protective order?
No.
Is there a final order of protection?
Yes, but without me appearing to the hearing.
So you just defaulted and didn't appear. Is that what you're saying to me?
I had to dismiss her injunction because she attacked me. And she had her first injunction, and I was in the house the first time. I dismissed all her charges, and she retaliated by opening up a false injunction against me, which I thought I didn't have to go to court because mines were set. I didn't have to appear in court I dismissed her injunction. I did not know that she had opened one against me.
When had you filed one protective order?
On the 25th, when it happened, the attacks, on the 20th and 25th, the police was called. They analyzed the whole situation, and they ended up arresting her.
How long were you incarcerated?
2 days. May I speak?
Not yet.
Okay.
So you understand that there is a protective order against you that was issued on default?
On default because she admitted things that weren't true.
It was issued on default because you weren't there.
Because I wasn't there, yeah.
You understand that?
I understand that, yeah. And I'm wearing an ankle bracelet right now for that. It took me a lot to get here.
It took what?
For 8 months, I've been wearing an ankle bracelet because of that injunction that I violated, supposedly.
That part, then, is true.
Mm-hmm.
Her husband has violated his restraining order on several occasions without consequences, with the exception of an ankle bracelet, which is a consequence. Mm-hmm. So you're home free on that. Okay. Now you wanted to say something?
Yes. I want to say that on January 26th, I went to the Hubbard House, which is a domestic shelter.
I want to hear what happened before that. Was that before or after your arrest?
This was before. And so on January 26th, I went to the court and applied for a temporary injunction, which is an order of protection. He was served on February 1st. In retaliation, he went to the police and he had me arrested February 2nd under false charges.
What did he allege in the action that he filed against you, that they arrested you? You had to have known.
There were scratches, which he alleges, and I have photos of the scratches. He says that she, yes.
And he alleged that she scratched you.
Yes.
Okay, have a seat. Okay. So the GoFundMe page has two problems. One is physical abuse, of which you have no proof other than her statement.
And Brandon's.
And have you ever been arrested for physically abusing your wife?
Never.
So you're basing the physical abuse on statements that your aunt made to you.
Brandon.
And as well
Brandon
as me,
was
Your
the
Honor,
person that
because
told
I
me.
grew up-
This is not a shout out.
I apologize, Your Honor.
Hector Diaz has accused his niece-in-law, Blanca Padilla, of defaming him online after she created a GoFundMe fundraiser with false information.
You're basing this statement on statements that the plaintiff's son told you about. Stand. You're Brandon.
Yes, that's me.
Okay.
Thank you, Your Honor.
And you've indicated that you witnessed your father physically abusing your mother.
Yes.
Have you ever witnessed your mother physically abusing your father?
No, I have not.
Okay. Tell me when the act or acts of physical abuse took place and what you observed. Date, year, month.
Around 2019, or 2018, 2019, my parents, who continuously had very intense and abrasive fights, that were very detrimental to me and my sister. One day it got really intense, and my dad pushed my mother to the floor. And I know that my father, in addition, had also thrown objects at my mom before I had seen. You know, they didn't hit her, but he did like threaten her. I have, you know, very vivid images of that. And
very good. You can sit down. No. No. Okay. There are probably some things in your GoFundMe page that are accurate. I probably would believe that during the course of this acrimonious separation, and they've clearly had fights, which according to your witness, were intense between both of them. Now, you didn't say just his father. He said they were intense fights. That being said, I believe that he emptied the bank accounts. I believe that he cut off our credit cards. That's what people do when they get separated and it's acrimonious. That's what happens. And you can put that in here because that's true. You can't put in things that aren't true. And you put in things here that aren't true, and that's defamatory. You can't do that. In any event, you should have kept your nose out of other people's business.
I wasn't going to let her drown. When he left her and he tried to destroy her.
Just a second.
I did
Listen to me. Are you trying to talk over me? You can help. You cannot say things on a public forum disparaging someone else with stuff that you can't prove. And you can't prove that he fraudulently, after the separation, opened up bank accounts in her name and the children's name in an attempt to ruin their credit. You can't prove that. This is defamatory. You're accusing him of fraud, and you can't prove it. Okay, so that was not true, Mr. Diaz, what she wrote about you, or that she has no proof of it, that you opened up credit cards. The rest of it, fair game in this GoFundMe page. She can say that you were overbearing. She can say that her aunt was afraid of you. She can say that you stopped paying the mortgage. She can say that you closed out her credit cards. Did you do all those things, by the way?
No.
Did you stop paying the mortgage?
No.
I have proof.
Just a second.
No, ma'am. I've been living away from my home for now up to a year.
Yes.
I put the house on a forbearance. I've been paying $1,700 for rent to live outside since May.
I want you to listen to my question very carefully, and let's not be slippery.
Okay.
I asked you if you stopped paying the mortgage.
No.
You've been paying the mortgage every month. She's going to show me. I don't want to know that you've been paying someplace else to live and you stopped paying. That's a reason. I'm just asking you a question. I expect an answer.
Okay, so
did you pay the mortgage?
I paid up until I left the house. When I left the house...
Well, that was in January of 2023.
I had to call in. I said I was no longer employed, and I had to put the house on forbearance.
Okay, fine. So the answer is you stopped paying the mortgage. Okay. The only thing that she wrote here that she has no proof of, which is a crime, is opening up credit cards in somebody else's name. And when you do that, and it's after parties have separated, and if you do it for the purposes of ruining their prospective credit, well, that's a crime. And she has no proof of that.
Never done that.
Okay.
I try to resolve this GoFundMe page amicably with her. These are her responses.
I don't care what her responses were, sir. Actually, she's not allowed to say anything that's untrue, accusing you of committing a crime on her GoFundMe page. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $3,000. We're finished.
This court is adjourned.
Next time, I'm going to suggest to everybody else they stay out of other people's business.
Esther, yeah, she's very inflammatory in her emails, in her fake postings.
I was going to allow my family to be ruined financially and legally. I was going to stand up and do the right thing for them. I don't think what I did was incorrect. And just because I didn't have the evidence with me today doesn't mean he didn't do that.
It got messy because she claims her allegations that I went and wrote her emails, wrote her text messages after there was a no contact order. So she used all that evidence to keep me away from my children.
Just because you're married doesn't mean you can't do a police report. Just because you're married doesn't mean this is right, and defend yourself.
You know, we're still the same entity because we're still married, but once, you know, we're divorced, then it'll be, you know, it'll be more better relationships.
That's it. I'll always defend my family.
I believe a lot of the things that are in that GoFundMe post probably accurate. He did, in fact, stop paying the mortgage for whatever reason. There's indication that he, at least in some of the notes, that he was, in fact, incarcerated for something. He's wearing an ankle bracelet, which is probably a pretty serious incident because most of this stuff is about stalking. But when you post something for public consumption, and if something is not accurate, and if it's a crime or call somebody's reputation into serious dispute, although I don't know much about his reputation, you can't do that. You know, and it is possible that during the course of their marriage, several bank accounts were open, several credit cards were open, and let's say they maxed out all those credit cards, and she was one of the holders of those credit cards. You maxed out the credit cards, and if the time is afterwards and he's committed a fraud, now he's separated and he's divorcing. So he knows whatever he does now is not for the benefit of the family. That's what she claimed, and that's not true. And you can't do that. So my best advice is stay out of other people's divorces.
Case 3156, David versus McLean. All parties, please come forward.
Verona Davis is suing her son's friend, Leonard McLean, for a refund of catering services for her birthday party.
All right, Miss Davis, you were planning a birthday party.
Yes.
You were planning, and it was a big birthday party, and you hired the defendant to prepare the food for the party. Correct. And it is your claim in this lawsuit that he served bad food.
Correct.
Verona Davis claims her son's friend, Leonard McLean, owes for a refund of catering services after he served cold food during her 70th birthday party.
Okay, so the birthday party was when?
December the 16th, 2023.
How many people were there?
Approximately 60, 70 people.
Well, I need to know how many.
70 people.
So 70 people were being fed?
Yes.
And he charged you $1,800?
That's correct.
What, $25 a person?
Correct.
Correct?
No.
How much did you charge her?
$1,900.
Did she pay you the $1,900?
No, she paid $1,800.
So stay
That's
with
right.
it. $25 a person. Okay. And how many courses was he supposed to serve?
It was courses of fried chicken, baked chicken, codfish, roast beef, meatballs, tossed salad, potato salad, string beans.
Okay, that's a lot of food for $25 a person. Okay, and you had your birthday party, and you claimed that the food was bad. The fried chicken was not well cooked. Is that correct?
That's correct, Your Honor.
The baked chicken?
The baked chicken was not well cooked either.
What about the roast beef?
The roast beef was raw.
You have any photographs for me?
Yes, I do, ma'am.
I'd like to see the photographs of the food that you're talking about. I don't see anything wrong with these pictures. I see you have circled a piece of fried chicken, and you have circled that it looks as if it was bloody inside.
Correct, Your Honor.
But there's nothing wrong with the other pictures you showed me. This doesn't do it for me.
Your Honor, if you see, it's pink in the middle.
I saw that. He acknowledges that. He said he took it off. When you showed it to him, you acknowledged that you saw that the fried chicken had red inside, and you took it off. That's either a yes or a no. That's what you say in your answer.
Yes.
Getting hungry and testy.
I'm sorry.
So just answer my question. Don't think about what I would like to hear or what's good for you. You say in your answer you took the fried chicken off because it wasn't prepared right.
Yes.
Okay. Did she complain about any other of the food to you?
No.
Okay. You didn't complain about any of the other food in your complaint either.
I complained after the party, Your Honor. We had a meeting. We had 3 meetings. I explained to him the chicken was half cooked. I have complaints from my guests.
Just a second. Can't tell me about complaints. The fried chicken, he acknowledges, was not cooked enough. Next. I looked at the other pictures. There's nothing wrong with the other pictures of the other food. Nothing. What do you want me to see in the other pictures? Look perfectly fine. You were feeding 70 people for $1,800. You never said anything was wrong with the baked chicken. You said there was something wrong with the fried chicken. So what did you have meetings about?
Your Honor, I complained about the baked chicken and the fried chicken after the party when I called Lenny up and showed him the chicken because he gave me a thumbs up. I said, come here, I need to show you something. When I showed it to him, he acknowledged that the chicken was half cooked. Also, the chicken was cold. Everything was cold. So when I told him that, he explained to me that his worker cooked the food, right? So I explained to him later on, the next day, because he sent me a text saying that he apologized for the food was bad and he apologized.
Oh, I'd like to see, just a second. If you have a text that he apologized to you because the food was bad, other than the fried chicken, which he acknowledges, I'd like to see it. Just a second.
Yes.
Just a second. Very nice. He says he apologizes for the fried chicken. That's it. He said, I need to truly apologize for the mishap with the fried chicken. He took responsibility for it, for the fried chicken. So people didn't eat the fried chicken.
Nobody ate the fried chicken.
Good. Nobody ate the fried chicken. Everybody ate. There were a lot of other things for them to eat. By the way, did you have a contract for $1,900?
Because she's a family friend, I didn't do a contract.
What kind of accommodation? Because she wants the full amount she paid for you. That is never going to happen. You served one dish that was not cooked.
Correct.
What kind of accommodation were you prepared to make?
I was willing to reimburse her for the price of the fried chicken.
And how much was that?
For 2 pans, it was $250.
For both?
Yes, $125 each.
Did he offer that to you?
Yes, ma'am.
You should have taken it. You had a party. People ate. If you don't like him as a caterer, don't use him again. He acknowledged he made a mistake. His chef undercooked, or whoever it was, undercooked the chicken. He was prepared to give you a substantial, based upon the whole number that you paid, accommodation of $250. I'm telling you, you should have taken it and run.
Ma'am, may I say something?
Say whatever you want.
Okay,
Your Honor. In 30 seconds.
Okay, real quick. $250 he offered me plus an $800 food credit. So I explained to him, if you offer me an $800 food credit, why should I use your $800 food credit when you ruined my party? It was my 70th birthday party, and he humiliated me in front of all my friends and my family.
Let me explain something to you. I had several weddings, 2 or 3 of my own, a lot of weddings for my children, even a couple for my grandchildren. And every once in a while, there was a bad dish. But everybody ate and everybody celebrated because they were celebrating your birthday or a wedding. So don't give me tears because the fried chicken was bad. You should have taken the $250. Are you still prepared to offer her the $250?
Yes, minus the $100 that she still owed me.
Well, all I want to see is that she owed you the $100. She said $1,800. Show me the conversation where she was supposed to pay you $1,900, and I will certainly do that, unless Ms. Davis acknowledges that the bill was supposed to be $1,900.
You want to acknowledge that?
Just don't ask her.
I'm sorry.
I asked her. She understood me.
I'm sorry, Your Honor.
Do you acknowledge you were supposed to pay him $1,900?
I acknowledge I was going to pay $1,900.
And that you gave him $1,800?
I gave him $1,800.
Okay, so that I will give you the credit for the $100 she didn't pay you. So judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $150. We're finished here. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you.
This court is adjourned.
I'm happy with the decision.
Nobody didn't eat any food at that event.
I tried to offer her the money. We didn't have to go through this.
It was very disappointing. It was humiliating, and it was horrible.
These are things when people try to be greedy. This is what happens.
My 70th birthday party, and it was ruined.
You know, I really thought that defendant did everything he could to make it right. Sometimes things get undercooked and served. He was notified about it by her at the party. He pulled it away as soon as he heard, took accountability, said, I'm so sorry for this one dish out of many that didn't turn out how it should have, and I'm willing to give you this discount. Obviously, you don't have to pay for it. And I thought that was a pretty stand-up response. So I thought he did everything right, and I think the right thing happened in the end.
Me too.
Singer Sophia Rolando is suing her former client, Ryan Birdwell, for breach of contract, car damages, and towing charges.
Court come to order. All rise.
Have a seat, please.
Judge, case 3176, Rolando versus Birdwell.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Mr. Birdwell, I'm going to start with you, sir. The case is relatively simple. The plaintiff says she was hired to perform at a function that you were putting on and that you didn't pay her. and the agreed price was $3,000. That's your claim. That's your claim.
Yes.
What do you hesitate for?
I hesitate because the price of the event was $1,500, but I'm also suing for damages and the tow truck that accrued moments after the incident.
Were you born here in California?
I was born in Wisconsin.
How long have you lived in California?
Almost my whole life, 25 years.
Well, counts for some of your nonsense. What kind of function was this, sir, and where was it being held?
It was being held in Boulevard, California, and the function was, it's an annual spring party we do up at a ranch we have called the Shreddy Ranch, and we hired her to perform.
No.
Sorry.
Don't get ahead of yourself.
Sorry about that.
I asked you what kind of function it was.
It was an
annual function. And what was the date of the function?
I believe April 12th. I don't know. I'm not clear on the dates.
Well, find out. That's what you're supposed to know. You're a party to this action.
April 15th.
Of 2023?
Yes, ma'am.
How many people were you having at the event?
About 150 people.
What time did the event start?
The event it's a 3-day event. It starts from Friday to Sunday.
And what day was the 15th of April?
Saturday.
Saturday night, so right in the middle. Do you serve food?
Yes, we have it catered on Saturday.
When you say we, who's we?
Well, me. I had the party catered.
Okay. Who is the host of this party?
I am.
You are. You paid for it?
Yes.
Okay, and you do this every year?
Every year. We actually just got done with our 3rd annual party just last weekend.
I have enough from you. Now, Ms. Rolando.
Yes, Your Honor.
According to your complaint, the defendant saw you perform sometime in March.
Yes, March 18th, 2023, at the Ritz-Carlton Laguna Niguel.
And you're a singer?
Yes, Your Honor.
And I want you to tell me the exact conversation that you had with the defendant, because he came up to you after you sang, and he approached you about performing a month later at his event.
Yes.
I want you to tell me exactly what he said to you and exactly what you said to him.
Over text or the in-person conversation?
Well, he didn't speak to you in text the first time he spoke to you. He came back to see you.
Okay, my recollection is that he came up to me and told me that it was going to be his wife's 40th birthday party.
Just a sec. Did he say, I liked your singing?
Well, yes.
I want you to tell me exactly what he said to you.
All right, he said, I loved your performance. I'm throwing a big birthday bash from the 14th, 15th, and 16th of April. I would love to have you come on the 15th. It's gonna be the biggest day with hundreds of people, famous people, drones and cameras, and you're so good. That's the day that I would like you there.
Great. So you understood that it was a big event.
I did understand that.
Great. And you said, fine. He must have said, how much do you charge?
Actually, there was a little bit of discussion in between that time because on the 15th, I was already scheduled to play a festival with my band on April 15th, 2023 at Kushstock Festival in Adelanto, California. That's very far from where Mr. Birdwell lives. And so I told him I have text evidence, before we ever signed any contract, I told him, I will not be there. I'm coming late. I'm probably leaving this festival by 5 o'clock. I will be there before 10. And you will get your 3 hours.
I would like to see that in a text.
Yes, ma'am.
Because this is what the case is about.
I have those text messages.
The party started at 7.
Yeah, she was supposed to perform at 7.
Party started at 7. He says you were supposed to be there from 7 to 10. When you got there, and that's a matter of dispute, it was well past 7. Another act was performing, an act that Mr. Birdwell had commissioned to perform from 10 to 1. So there would be continuous entertainment. When you got there, you found another act performing, and Mr. Birdwell said, well, you can perform stop playing, because you're not listening to me if you're playing.
I'm sorry.
Got to pay attention.
Yes.
Mr. Birdwell said, well, I already have this other act because you weren't here. You can perform from 10 to 1, and you said no, and you left. That's the case, right? That's the case.
Yes, that's the case.
So far, you're not losing. If you're not losing, I keep my mouth shut so far.
Yes, Your Honor.
That's the case. Okay. Now, I would like to see, first, a contract.
Yes.
Do we have one?
I have one.
May I see it, please?
And in the contract, she never signed the contract.
Shh. You see, you always add something.
Sorry.
You always add something. Okay, so you contracted for $1,500.
Yes, Your Honor.
That is correct. And this says description 3 hours.
Yes. And I did.
Shh. Okay, and He sent this to you on March 21st.
Yes.
He sent it to you on March 21st. Well, it's dated March 21st. You didn't sign it.
Okay.
Singer Sophia Rolando claims her former client, Ryan Birdwell, breached their performance contract after Ryan and his friends threatened her during his party.
Now, you didn't sign it.
I did sign it. I'm not sure why he received an unsigned copy.
May I see your signed copy?
Yes, you may. Oh, thank you.
Well, now I have a signed copy with signatures on it.
Yes.
And this says 3 hours, doesn't specify the time.
Yes.
Is that right?
That was purposeful.
Yes. That was purposeful?
Yes.
Okay, so you were commissioned to sing for 3 hours, according to you, unspecified hours. Just a sec. That's what you're telling me?
Yes.
Great. Now I'll see the text messages back and forth where you discuss time.
Okay.
Not okay. First text message, second text message with the dates.
Yes. So the...
Oh, don't say anything I can read.
Okay.
He says on March 19th, we would love to have you there to start playing at 7 p.m. on Saturday, 4:15. That's the last thing that this is here.
There's more.
That's March 19th. Next. And the next one that you hand me is April 15th. So between March 19th, you signed a contract for 3 hours, and the next communication that I have is April 13th. Excited for this weekend. Can't believe it's already here. Going to be awesome. Hey, Ryan, I just want to make sure there isn't a dress code, and my pianists know where whatever you want, people are going to be wearing whatever is on the ranch. Super fun. I'm coming from a weekend festival. I'm playing too, so I'll be wearing what I'll be playing there. Then I have the Saturday, April 15th at 10 of 12 in the morning. Hey, can you send me your address? Send that as soon as you can. Thanks. Oh, I actually got it. Sorry. All good. See you soon, and we'll hang out. We hope to be there for the Downbeat 7, but we're pretty far away at this fest, but we're about to play and we'll be out of here by 4. That's what you say to him, and you say that to him on April 15th. That's the first time, unless you have early...
I actually...
Well, I'm just reading this.
I'm so sorry.
I'm just reading this. You say, we hope to be there for Downbeat at 7, which is when you were supposed to be there. So let's make that clear. Let's make that clear. You knew you were supposed to be there at 7 because you say, we hope to be there for... You mean you didn't write this?
I'm sorry, I did write that, but...
Pay attention.
Yes.
You wrote,
yes, Your Honor.
On the day of the event, we hope to be there for the Downbeat at 7, but we're pretty far away from you at this fest we're about to play, but we'll be out of here by 4. We're gonna be there later than 7, but you'll have your 3 hours either way, and we'll keep you updated. 4:35 in the afternoon. And then on the 17th, I'm not interested. All right, you have things that you want me to read
I do.
before this.
Yes,
okay, but on
I do.
Date of the event, 2 days before the event, you say, we'll be there at 7. Now, let me see the other thing.
Did not say that.
Don't speak. Just give it to me. Nonsense. I don't want to see anything that happened before March 21st.
But that's kind of the most important part for me, because I told him before we ever signed the contract, I will not be there by 7 p.m.
Just a second. Hey. Man, you're supposed to be a professional. He's having a huge party.
That's why I offered him a different date.
Don't speak.
I'm sorry.
Don't speak. You're suing him. You didn't perform. You're suing him. You didn't perform. You're a professional. He's have 150 people there. And you said, we're going to be late. We're leaving at 4, but we're going to be there after 7. Now, you're the professional. What did you expect to happen with 150 people there and the entertainment wasn't there? What did you expect to happen, Miss Professional?
Your Honor.
No, I'm asking you a question. Did you expect them to just go on with the party?
First of all, I expected...
That's what you expected.
I expected the party that I was promised. I rolled up to about 10 people. 5 of them were toddlers. There were no cameras, no drones. There was nobody there. I am a professional.
Just a second. Was there another group playing when you arrived? You swore to that.
Yes, and when I arrived...
You arrived, there was another group playing.
Yes.
Is that correct?
Yes, which he...
What's up? There was another group playing. I don't care if there were 2 toads and a lizard on the ranch. There was another group playing for the 2 toads and a lizard, and the defendant and his wife. There was another group playing.
Yes.
What time did you get yourself there? Be very, very careful. There's a way to track it. What time did you get yourself there?
I was in the...
That's a time that I was in.
8:40 p.m.
What?
Between 8:30 and 8:40 p.m.
Okay, so between 8:30 and 8:40, that's not 7:15.
That's because
don't speak. That's not 8:15. That's not 7:15.
Yes, I'm aware of that.
Okay.
I promised him I would not be there by 7 before we ever signed a contract, which is why I offered him 4:14 because I was completely free that day. I told him in text, March 20th.
You think you're the only singer?
March
you think
20th.
you're the only singer in California?
No.
Just a second. You think, madam, I mean, I don't know where the headspace is here. They raise a bunch of babies here, and maybe if you're in the entertainment business, you're a double baby. Madam,
Londo has accused her former client, Ryan Birdwell, of breaching their contract after he threatened her for refusing to sing at a later time.
Somebody hires you for a function. You say, I'm totally free.
I told him I was busy that day.
Don't speak. I'm totally free on the 14th. Well, he didn't want you for the 14th. He wanted you on the 15th. A professional would say, I'm far away on the 15th.
I did tell him that.
Hey, don't speak. I'm far away on the 15th. I don't think I can do the 15th.
Exactly what I said.
I don't think I can do the 15th. So maybe we'll do it next year. Maybe we'll do it at another time. I have one other question. When you arrived at 8:45 and you saw the other group singing, because from what I gather, put your paper down, from what I gather, the group that was supposed to perform at 10 was there early.
Yes, Your Honor.
Because you had booked from 7 to 10 and then someone after, so there'd be continuous entertainment.
Exactly.
Now, when you arrived there, be very careful with your answer. Did the defendant say you can play from 10 to 1? Be very careful with your answer. Did the defendant say...
He actually had no idea who I was and said, I thought you canceled. That's what he said. He said, I thought you canceled. That's what he said.
I want you to answer my question. Did the defendant say to you, you can sing with your band from 10 to 1? Be very careful what you say to me. Did he say you can perform from 10 to 1? That's either a yes or a no. Your silence, I would assume that he offered you 10 to 1.
After many threats, yes,
Just a
he
second.
offered that.
He offered you. What's wrong with you?
Sorry.
What is wrong
have a
with
text
you?
where
Is this your wife who turned 40?
Yes, sorry. I have a text
My
where
sympathies.
she admitted that I asked her to play. Sorry, Your Honor.
I know that you
second.
did. I haven't been able to say one thing of importance.
Just a second. Sir.
Sorry.
Is he always like this?
Yes.
Is he always like this? Okay. You must have other attributes that I don't see. Do you understand? Your contract said you would perform for 3 hours. If he wants you to perform from 10 to 1, you performed from 10 to 1. You left.
After being threatened by him and several of his drunk friends, and they were belligerent and threatening us like this, every time I said the word contract, he got even more pissed off and threatening us. Yeah, we didn't want to play after that. We also had work in the morning, and he knew I wouldn't arrive until after 8. We had a phone call before I ever signed this contract because I am a professional, and I knew I would never make it at 7 p.m. I told him before the phone call, I will come and play before 10 p.m. Me arriving there and having to wait an hour and a half is him breaching our contract.
Oh, you think so?
Yes, I know so.
No, you don't know so, madam. You don't know. So your contract is very, very clear. You can't have it both ways. You can't use, and I'm going to tell you, it's a nuanced part of contract. This is your contract. You gave me the signed contract. Any parole evidence outside parole, not written in the same form as this contract, which is signed on both sides, is inadmissible when it's a contract. This contract said you will sing for 3 hours. You didn't sing for 3 hours.
I felt very threatened, so I left.
Well, that's too bad. I'm sorry. That's why I'm talking about people raised in California. They feel threatened. This is my space.
He was
this
a drunk.
is your.
No, he
this
was a
is
drunk.
my space.
He
this
was
is
a
your
drunk,
space.
and his friends
Don't
were
get into
drunks
my
as well.
space. You're interfering with my personal space. You signed
They were
a
drunk
contract.
and belligerent
Listen,
and hovering over us.
Madam, you do not appear to be a shrinking violet to me. Most people are intimidated by me. You are not, which suggests to me that you weren't intimidated by somebody. Well, then maybe a little therapy will help. You signed the contract, 3 hours. You didn't perform. He gave you the opportunity to perform from 10 to 1. Your case is dismissed. Grow up.
This court is adjourned.
I feel that he breached the contract.
I fully agree with the judge's decision.
Because he hired another band 2 days before I got there.
I knew right away that lady was out of her mind.
The contract was that upon arriving, I was going to start performing, not wait an hour and a half after I drove 5 hours and came on this day when I told him I had another day free.
She never performed once. We gave her every opportunity to perform.
But I told him I was coming from, like, basically across the state.
And honestly, I really wanted my chance to even go further into depth into how crazy that lady really is.
Him and 3 of his friends who approached me upon immediately being up there all drunk and big and huffing and puffing and cussing at me every time I said the word contract.
No, I did not witness that. He was talking to her, and he was confused because she was so late. He was like, who are you? Where did you come from? He had thought at that point she wasn't even going to show up.
It would be too soon if I ever had to see Ryan Birdwell again.
So then when we realized who she was, he said, go ahead and play. Play when they're done. And then she didn't like that answer and stormed out of there after that.
You know, I got a little shiver down my back when you talked about the parole evidence rule. I spent a lot of time on that in contracts. But it's for a reason. It's so that when you have 4 corners of a contract that's signed by both parties, that's either specific or non-specific to certain parameters. You can't just bring in extrinsic evidence to fill in what you want the contract to have said in the first place. So it's a good rule, one that I spent a lot of time learning and one that finally was useful today.
Contract said simply 3 hours, $1,500. There's no question that the text messages revealed that she was supposed to be there at 7 o'clock. She may have been a little late because she's coming from another gig, but she expected when she got to the gig to go on right away. Well, another act had been filling in for them. That act was supposed to start at 10 o'clock, which means that if she went to work when she arrived, that means that he wouldn't have had music until the end of the party. Yeah.
What you get for showing up late. You got a good end of the deal. You could have held up the contract and could have performed, and you chose not to. You don't get to sue them for that.
Do you know what the cause is for that kind of thinking? It's the everybody gets a trophy mentality that somehow generationally has come about. When I was growing up, if you came in first, you got first prize. You got a trophy. Maybe even they had a second place. Then you have one for third place, one for most congenial, one for the best pair of socks, one for the most gracious outfit. So everybody gets a trophy. And the everybody gets a trophy mentality produces that kind of thinking. Her thinking, when I get there, I am the head soprano at the Met. You can't replace me. I'm the only singer in California, and I'm here. Get the other group off the stage. My group is here, and now that's my space. That's everybody gets a trophy. And if we continue to do everybody gets a trophy, the next generation is going to be worse.
Go Borges for lost wages and damages from an assault.
Court come to order. All rise.
Have a seat, please.
Case number 3012, Green versus Baguez.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Okay, so today we're going to learn a little bit about junior baseball.
Yes, ma'am.
I don't know a lot about it, but I do have one grandchild who plays that sport very well. Been to a couple of those games. I know how hot everybody gets. You, Mr. Green, according to what I read in your papers, are an umpire.
Yes, ma'am.
And you've been doing that work for, I think, 15 years, is that what?
Approximately 15 years.
Tell me about the league that you umpire for.
I work for an organization, and I'm pretty much an independent person, but they call me and let me know what games I have, so it's up to me so I can take as many games as I want. I usually average about 10 games on the weekend. I usually only do it on the weekend. It's kind of...
Do you get paid for it?
Yes, I do.
How much do you get paid for umping? umpiring a game?
It depends on the age division. So normally, if you do anywhere from 9 to 12, you'll get
9 to 12 years are the players.
That's the player. That's the player that's playing. So you'll get $56, and if you do the older children, that goes from 13 up to, I think we do up to 17. You get $61 a game.
Okay, nice supplemental income, and have some fun when you're outside.
Yeah, that's my supplemental income. I actually have a regular full-time job.
I assume you did.
Yeah.
And you have a team?
Correct. I manage the team. I've been managing high school baseball players for about 6 years now.
So you manage the 13 to 17-year-olds?
Correct.
And what's the name of your team?
The Bruins.
This particular game that's at issue today took place on what date, sir?
October the 16th of last year.
Now, Mr. Borges, on October 16th of 2022, what I'm gathering from the papers is that one or so of your players was over the age of 17.
Correct.
That you knew was against the rules. How many players were over 17?
So there was a total of 2 players that were over.
2.
So they weren't over 17. They were 17 at the time.
They were beyond the age where they were supposed to be playing. So you knew that that was against the rules.
Correct.
Just curious, clear that you knew it. You're giving me honest answers. Why'd you do that?
Because there's a stipulation that it goes on the way that the sanctioning body goes by. If they're in the grade level that is of the current year, they can still play. There is a limit of 1 player. I had 2. That is why we were.
Okay. So what you're saying is you didn't know about the second rule?
I knew about the second rule. I misinterpreted it. I thought we were allowed up to 3 players. Turns out that for this particular sanctioning body, there was only 1 allowed.
At some point during that game, something happened, because this case involves an assault. It is your claim, Mr. Green, that the defendant assaulted you and injured you.
Yeah.
And it was about the players who were playing against the rules from his team.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So let's start with you, sir. You're on the field, you're doing your business. Somebody advises you that there's an issue. Who tells you that there's an issue?
So I went up to the director and asked him myself. There was some chatter in the stands saying, hey, you have 2 players.
Some chatter where?
From the stands. So some of my
from
parents,
the stands?
Yeah, from the stands. So some of my parents asked me, hey, you might want to check that because the other team is saying that we're illegal players.
So there was already a kerfuffle because people who were watching the game, I assume that there were regulars watching this game. First of all, you have all the mothers, fathers, grandparents, siblings of all these players watching the game.
Correct.
And they just don't come out for one game. I know this from grandson Kobe. They come out for every game. And so I assume that everybody knows how old these players are because they've been following them. They all go to the same school. Okay. So there was chatter from the team that was opposing your Bruins that, hey, 2 of these players shouldn't be playing.
Correct.
They're too old. It's not fair. Had the game gotten underway yet?
It was in the bottom of the first, or the start of the first inning.
Okay, so you heard the kerfuffle that was starting in the stands. You figured the better part of valor was to go over and address the issue yourself with the director of the league?
Of the tournament director, correct.
Okay. How did you identify him there?
He's the one we check into at the beginning. When we show up as a team, there's a booth where we check in.
So you went down to speak to the director. Mm-hmm. Did you hear any of this chatter?
Your Honor, the story that he's telling you is absolutely not true. How we found out, or they found out that the player was too old. The player actually played for the opposing team before, and the coach knew him. And I was standing there when the coach passed by him and spoke to him. And then the coach informed one of his parents that that kid that was the catcher was too old to be on the team. And they went and told the tournament director. He didn't go to the tournament director. He was on the field.
Okay, just a second. So your story, which actually is interesting and has more subtlety to it, so sounds more real. This older player used to play for the opposing team.
Yes, ma'am.
So the team members and that coach knew how old he was.
Yes, ma'am. Exactly.
They went over to the director to complain.
Went over to the director and told the director that he was using illegal players, that the players was too old. Then they checked the record to find out if it was true. They never went to the director. The director came on the field and stopped the game. He came to me and said, stop the game.
Okay, so the director came up to you.
Yes, ma'am.
And said, stop the game.
Stop the game.
And you're standing at home plate?
Yes, ma'am. Exactly.
See that?
You got that. You're right. I was standing at home.
Why do you look so amazed?
Because I was surprised that you would know about
That I would know about home plate?
Yeah, okay, yeah. That's home plate. I was standing at home plate.
They're not talking football here. Baseball, I know.
Okay.
See?
Yeah, okay.
So everybody sort of was around you. You had the director, you had yourself. Were any of the players there?
Yes, ma'am. They were still on the field. Everybody was still on the field.
Any players up at home plate?
Yeah, the player, the catcher, the one that was 2-0, and the batter. So he waited until the game started, because if he says anything before the game starts, then they would just take the players out. So he was waiting for the players to play. So
they would have to forfeit the game. That they would have to forfeit the game.
There you go.
Got it. So now I'm getting the rules, because these rules I didn't know. So if the game hadn't started yet, and that one player was taken out before anything happened, then you would just take the player out and continue the game.
And continue.
But once the game starts with his illegal player, then their team had to forfeit the game.
Exactly. The other team.
So the other team, strategically, I assume, but the other team waited until the first ball was thrown or whatever, and then came out to complain or went to the director to complain that there was an illegal player.
Exactly.
And therefore the game had to be forfeited.
Exactly. So they lost the game.
Now it's got. So they lost the game before it started.
Right. They lost the game before it ended. So it was on a Sunday, and Sunday we call it elimination day. So if you lose on Sunday, you go home, and the other team that won go on to the next game. So obviously he didn't go to the next game because he was eliminated, but the other team did. So that's why the other team waited so they can go to the next game.
Now, Mr. Borges, I have to tell you, that sounds more reasonable to me.
And he's absolutely right.
Okay, good.
Other than the fact that I did go up to the tournament director myself, because at that point in time, they approved my roster, and I had an approved roster. So when I called the higher up of the tournament director, he said, if you guys leave the field, if you forfeit the game, I will refund you the tournament fee. If you do not, and it gets out of hand, then you will not get a refund. So I talked to my parents, I talked to my players, I explained to them the situation, and that was it. And we walked off the field.
Well, that didn't happen just that way.
That's exactly how it happened.
Well, then how did he get assaulted?
He just had this look in his eye and he just...
Bowling Green claims youth baseball coach Francisco Borges owes for lost wages and damages after Francisco assaulted him.
Now, his version of the events sounds much more plausible to me now that I know that you crafted your participation initially in a certain way, but that sounds right. Now I understand it. Okay, so now they're all out on the field.
So no, what happened next is that they actually left the field. He didn't say anything about the game, so they left.
So they left the field and his team left.
And all of his players left the field. So what I did is I returned to what we call it the director's table, but it's like an easy-up setup. So I returned to the director's table where all the umpires usually hang out, because we do like 5 games a day. So in between games, we kind of go there and get our new scorecard, our new baseball, and everything that we need for our next game. So I was standing there just kind of talking with other umpires. My son Cam was there. He's an umpire also. And on his way out of the particular facility that we were in, the director's table was right there. Him and some of his parents, that's when they stopped by the director's table to ask the director about why they were disqualified, because they were saying that they knew that they were using illegal players. The director was saying, no, we didn't, because you never checked in with your roster. And so they started demanding a refund. And so we wasn't even involved in it. So they started demanding a refund. And so one of the moms...
How much money are we talking about?
I have no idea. You have to ask them.
How much money is the refund?
It's $8 per person. That's the refund that my parents were requesting. We weren't requesting a tournament fee because we had already squared that away with the tournament director.
You expected an $8 per person refund. Why?
Because the game didn't conclude, and we were the ones that stopped the game prior to this whole scenario.
Well, not actually. You didn't stop the game. Whatever. Aside from the $8 per person, what other fee is there?
There's a tournament fee.
Well, give me the amount.
It was $895.
Go ahead, sir.
He was asking for his money back. He didn't get a refund back because he was disqualified for the tournament. He got upset and said, well, I'll show you disqualified. I'll show you disqualified. And then he was coming around the director. It's like table setup, 6-foot tables. And he was coming around the table in an angry manner. So all I did was step back and said, Coach, calm down. Your children are out here. Why you act like this in front of your children? He didn't say a word. He just had this look in his eye and he just grabbed me like this, and his fist was coming at me. And that's pretty much all I remember, because I could remember another fist coming over my shoulder, which I later found out that it was my son coming to my defense, because he just grabbed me. I mean, that's all I could say. He just pretty much grabbed me like this and
Could you stand up? Tell me your name, please.
Cameron Green?
Cameron, you were down with your father near the director's table.
Yes.
I want you to tell me what you saw. Your father took me up to a point, and I want you to start at the point where there was any contact between your father and the defendant.
Yes, as the defendant was charging after the tournament director, after verbally threatening him.
Was that person seated?
He was seated.
Yes, go ahead.
And as he got around a barricade of tables, me and my dad were there to stop him and calm him down.
Tell me exactly how you...
Literally just standing here. Obviously, you don't want to make contact with the person unneeded. So, like, literally just standing there, he had his hands up and said, hey, your kids are out here. And he just got, like, the midst of the deflection, because he was going to probably assault the tournament director and said he assaulted my dad instead.
Well, tell me how he did that.
So after my dad told him to calm down because the kids were out there, he then grabbed my dad by his chest protector and lifted him up. And once he had did that, then I had to defend my dad.
Well, how did you do that?
By punching him.
How did your father end up unconscious?
So once again, he had him, and so he would grab my dad by his chest protector and shoves his fist in his face to basically threaten him. So I assume after I hit him, he probably just threw him down.
So he threw your father down?
Correct.
Were you hospitalized, sir? Were you...
I went to the doctor the next day. We went home after it all happened, and then the next day I woke up, I had all these like really bad pains in my face and stuff. So I went to the doctor, and the next day I went to urgent care on the 17th.
Do you have any pictures of
yes,
any
I do.
injuries?
I have the pictures and also the doctor's report.
Yeah, I'd like to see it.
There's pictures of my injuries in the original doctor report when I first went to the doctor.
Pretty bad black eye areas, that was shown. Did you file a police report, sir?
The facility, the director, they filed a police report.
Do you have a copy of that?
On the 18th.
Do you have a copy of that? Were you able to get a copy of the police report?
No, they gave it back to me.
Nothing. Okay. Was there a complaint filed by you with the police department, sir?
Yes, there was a complaint filed by me with the Riverside County Sheriff.
Were you ever contacted by the police?
I was.
Were you arrested?
No.
Did Mr. Green cause to be served on you an application for a protective order?
Correct.
And was there a hearing on that?
Yes, there was.
Did you testify?
Yes.
Did you have any witnesses?
No, I just had witness statements and the picture that I showed you.
Did you have any witnesses?
No.
What was the result of that hearing?
I was granted a restraining order for a year.
And was the story that you told to the court at that hearing consistent with what you've told me today?
Yes, it is, Your Honor. I actually have the transcript from that court case.
I'd like to take a look at it. I'm going to ask you the same question, Mr. Borges. Was the testimony you gave me today consistent with what you told the court on that day?
Absolutely.
You did, in fact, put your hands on the plaintiff.
Correct.
I'm actually going to go in a little bit further. How many parents were with you at the time you came to the director's chair?
There was a few. There was about 5 or 6 there. They were standing next to me. Did you see the parents of Mr. Borges' team with him?
Yes.
How many were there?
At least 5 or 6 parents, and they all had their kids with them as well.
Now, when Mr. Borges, when you said came around the table and put his hands on your father, where were the parents?
They're behind him, and due to the progressive heating of the argument, everybody on his side was being very aggressive. That's why when he charged after the tournament director, no one cared to stop him. And after I had defended my dad, I was then jumped by about 5 of the parents.
Okay, so he was the first one who went around the table.
Correct.
The parents and the other players followed after him?
They were aggressive, but they stayed put, and after I had defended him, then that's when they got involved.
Now, when you say you defended your father, what did you do?
As he had my dad grabbed by his chest protector, I then punched him.
Punched the defendant?
Yes.
And after you punched the defendant, what happened?
I was then jumped by about 5 of the parents. So I saw 3 running at me and 1 running at me full speed. So I engaged with the first guy that was coming at me. And right there, I got tangled up, and then I was thrown to the floor immediately, and then jumped by about 5 parents.
Who broke it up?
Actually, a bystanding coach ran in about like 6 seconds into the jumping and picked me up off the ground and separated me from the crowd. I almost had it, though.
Then I got it. When I got up off the ground, I pulled one of the parents off of him. Because when I got up off the ground, I was...
Off of your son?
Off of my son. I was looking for my hearing aids and glasses, and then when I picked him up, I noticed 3 guys fighting my son. So I pulled the parent off of him, and then somebody else came around and punched me again. I couldn't see who that person was.
I got it. You got
Kelvin Green has accused youth baseball coach Francisco Borges of assaulting him at a baseball tournament. Francisco claims Kelvin's son punched him in the face.
So, Mr. Borges, I'm going to go one further from the judge who heard the application for an order of protection. It was a very limited hearing, and what the judge based his opinion on to give the plaintiff a protective order for a year, which merely says that you may not assault, menace, threaten, or harass him. Is he allowed to be at a game where you're umpiring?
No,
he's not allowed to have his team at a game where you're umpiring.
No, he's not allowed to be around. He's not allowed to be within 100 feet of me. We didn't put down the team because it was more about him and not the team.
Okay. I'm going to tell you, sir, that if your conduct precipitated a course of events where other people were injured, your conduct, you're responsible. I'm going to let you tell me your version of the events. You're out there. Now I heard their version of the events of that day. You're out there with 5 or 6 parents, and you're demanding that while you forfeited the game fee, which was over $800, it was your position that your players were entitled to their $8 a person back, which is why you went with the parents over to the director to ask for the $8 per person back for your players. That's what you told me.
No, that you asked me what the sum was. It was $8 a person of what it cost to get in. That's not what we were arguing about. So,
well, what were you arguing
about? My side of the story about? So as we were walking out, I was talking to the female tournament director. We had already got our situation squared away. There was a male tournament director who was sitting at his chair, and one of my parents approached him, and they were arguing back and forth. He made a comment, and he said, "You guys shouldn't even get a refund back for your tournament fee because you guys were cheating." That's when I got upset because I had already squared away with his boss and the female tournament director that was on site. Okay.
So what did you do when you got upset?
I told him, do you even know what's going on? I've already explained that this whole situation has nothing to do with the team. She's asking for her $8 back because they just got here and they're not watching a game.
Oh, you mean their fee to get into the stadium?
Correct.
What were you involved with that for?
Exactly.
What were you involved with that for? They wanted their money back. How many games were going to be played that day?
It could have been, 3, 4, 5 games. But
well, they could have sat and watched the rest of the 5 games.
Yeah, they could have. At that point in time, the argument started with the tournament director. Mr. Green was coming over from the field, and he did see when we were arguing. He did get in front of me. He says, "Hey, man, relax. Your kid's around." My whole thing was the director was still talking back to me,
So what if he was talking back to you? The truth is he was saying the truth. That director was saying nothing that was untruthful. All this started because you put 2 illegal players on your team.
That they approved, Your Honor.
What?
They approved. The sanctioning body approved my roster before I showed up.
I have to tell you something, sir. You've been doing this according to you for a long time, and you know all the rules. And you had 2 illegal players on your team. That's what happened. But you had no business going over there and getting them a refund for entrance to the park.
That's where you're wrong. I was not asking for a refund. The parents were.
So what were you involved for?
Because the director told them to come talk to me about it, okay? And I go, listen, it's your job to de-escalate. As a director, it's your responsibility to de-escalate the situation.
So what? I don't understand why you put your hands on him.
I grabbed him by the chest protector to move him out of the way, because my argument was with the tournament director. Did not involve Mr. Green at all.
You can't put your hands on him.
So at that point in time, that's when I got punched, and then I was pulled back by the parents.
Just a second. You got punched because you put your hands on his father aggressively, and you're a big guy, and you were aggressive. How old are you, sir?
62.
How old are you?
38.
He's old enough to be your father. How dare you put your hands on him? Okay. Anything else you want to tell me, sir?
I just want to say one other thing, Your Honor, that this is mainly about him and other parents that come out to youth sports and behave badly. I want to send a message to him and all the other parents out there. When you come to support your kids. We're human. We make mistakes. We're out there for the same reason they are. It's not about the money. We're out there because we love the game and we love the kid. Violence, there's no place in baseball for violence, and he has to know that, and all the other parents have to know that. When you come, you're supposed to be there to support your kid, not harass the umpires or get into it with the directors. If you know you cheated, take your lumps and go home. But to assault
couldn't have said it better myself.
It's like, yeah, and that's why that's the message.
And I won't say it better myself. He's right. Right?
Yep.
Did you lose any work, sir, as a result
I
of this?
missed a month of work and a month of umpiring.
Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount requested in your petition, $10,000.
Thank you, Your Honor.
This court is adjourned.
I think it was a little unfair.
I think the judge made the right decision.
I never punched anybody, which that's the reason we were here.
The judge saw it right through the lie that he was trying to tell her.
Sanctioning body approved my roster, so that was on them.
From my understanding, he bypassed the director's table on Saturday. He didn't turn in his roster, so they didn't even know he had those players on his team.
I have no ill will against Mr. Green. Like I said, at the end of the day, I never punched him. I did touch his chest protector, but I never threw a punch.
Get the message out to the other parents that when you come to youth sporting events, you are not going to behave badly, and if you do, we're going to prosecute you to the limit of the law.
Plaintiff took the words right out of my mouth. The grand message that we usually have for people after the cases, and I almost liked it better coming from him, seeing firsthand how crazy some of these youth sports games have gotten. I usually see them secondhand on Twitter or clips on social media of outraged parents or siblings even of players absolutely losing their mind at these youth sports games. So he said it perfect, and all the parents should really listen up. It takes a certain type to really get so angry
that you get physical.
At someone like an umpire who's getting paid $60 a game. They're obviously not in it for the money. He has some heartfelt reason for wanting to be engaged.
Yeah, he had
in
a
these
son.
children's lives.
He had a son probably played.
Exactly, and they're not trying to make bad calls. They're trying to do the best they can, but everyone's got to keep their cool. It's baseball.
It's supposed to be a fun sport.
America's pastime.
Yeah.